So I can be free. I take the weight on my shoulders. I feel the sky come down on me, and I can't hold it much longer. Gonna let go so I can be free. Yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, yeah.
FT Live, we have a really full house today. It's Pierzynski, Kratz, Bella, and Braun because we need help. Bella, we're going up against football. Thank you so much. What's up, AJ?
That's nasty.
You don't want this smoke? No, Bella's bigger than you think. Bella can take at least one. Bella can probably mess with Eve a little bit. Bella, what do you think? No, Bella's bigger than you think. Here, can we show the size here? See, look.
That's a big dog.
That's not. Bella, you could take Eve.
Bella, it's okay. Eve isn't as lazy as you are. See you later, dog.
Nobody in Pennsylvania can drive through light rain, so I came in hot, and Bella thought that there was something big going on. But no, it's just a playoff season. In Major League Baseball. Russ is going to join us in about 15 minutes. Grant Brisbee, who I listen to and read his articles for years, he writes for The Athletic. He is going to help us for a formal eulogy for the San Francisco Giants, which thank you, is about a week overdue, but we'll do it now. And then America's pitcher, Rowdy Tellez, will join us at 2:30 Eastern. Let's charge the damn mound and get right into the playoff races. And we have to start with the American League West because just like everyone expected, AJ, the Rangers were dusted a couple weeks ago by the Astros, and now they are very much in control of the division because you guessed it, schedule makers. Houston went 2-7 over the last couple weeks against the Royals and the Astros. Are you kidding me?
I don't get it. I don't understand what the dilly is. Like, I mean, we always bring up, it's like, oh, the pitching, the hitting, this, and you always go, big schedule guy. The Royals are 9-1 in their last 10 games. Like 9-1, and they've beaten the Astros 6 times.
What would you do if you're in Houston, right? Well, you've been in Houston, okay? And you know some of those guys. What is going on? Like, are they actually freaking out, or are they like, you know what, we've been a winner for so long, it's all good, we ran into a hot team? Or are they sitting there going, what the fuck just happened?
That is probably closer to the vernacular they're using.
Okay.
Like, it has to be, because you can't sit here and go, and maybe, so basically, to me, because I know those guys, because you've seen these guys in the playoffs, in the World Series, winning 2 World Series since 2017, they're not panicking. So the two choices are they panicking or are they a little complacent? And to me, it would probably be that they're a little bit complacent. I'm not saying that they're not trying hard. I'm saying that they go in and it's the Royals. And so this is where like the little stuff matters. Like, yes, you're playing the Royals, but that counts the exact same as the games that you played against the Red Sox earlier.
Did you do this?
Yes.
When you were on a team that was really good, they'd go, "Oh, we got the Royals for 3. We're good."
It was said. It was definitely said.
Okay.
And the best teams, the teams that came in and took care of business, i.e. Phillies against the Mets this weekend, those teams made sure that was cut off at the head from everywhere, from scouting, because you only play these guys 6 times during a year. You don't see them all the time. It's the Royals. We'll take care of them. We'll see what happens. I can't believe a team that has this much success would do that, but I'm just saying what I've heard when I've been in those situations.
Okay. AJ, disaster.
Well, comes down to leadership for me. You got to have someone that stands up and says, this ain't happening. You got to jump them early, too. They never did that. They fell behind in every one of those games and never came back. They had Framber pitching. He didn't pitch very well against the Royals. They had their guys. Now, they lined it up a little bit differently for this series they have coming up with the Mariners now, with Verlander starting game 1. But, man, I mean, you cannot lose 6 games to the Royals. Now, the difference is, like, when you're talking about the Mets versus the Phillies, the difference is the Mets, they got a bunch of veteran dudes that are just like, all right, we're playing this out. The Royals got a bunch of young guys that are hungry, and they got to prove that we need to stay in the big league. So we're like, man, we're playing the defending world champs. Oh, we're up for this game. The Mets, listen, Alonso, Lindor, those guys, the veteran guys on the Mets, they're just riding it out. They're like, all right, we got 7 more games. Let's just get through these, try not to get hurt. But those Royals and those young teams, that's where you get into trouble is you play these young teams that you don't really know. They want to beat the Astros because that's a notch in their cap for next year.
Yeah, no doubt. I completely agree. But I also think, like, you can be complacent in the division and still beat teams. So the Phillies-Mets example wasn't great for me because they have all their – if you're a little complacent, you have your scouting reports. You faced McGill. You faced their bullpen pieces. But when you're going against the Royals, did they have who hit 2 homers yesterday? Was it Velasquez or something? Nelson Velasquez? Like, did they know that he could put a ball off the upper deck, Oppo? I don't know. But whatever it is, they got to figure. Whatever it is, they have to figure it out.
I can't imagine though the Astros went into this series and didn't do their work. I mean, this is a team of guys that are ultra professional. I mean, Bregman, Altuve, Abreu, Maldonado, that's what he's famous for is his work. I can't imagine Dusty Baker. Listen, they just ran into a team that's hot at the wrong time. And the old saying is not who you play, it's when you play them. That's what happens. I mean, look at the Mariners. The Mariners went to Texas and got whooped for 3 games, right, by the Rangers. Nobody saw that coming. Everyone's like, the Rangers, they don't have any pitching, blah, blah, blah. They went out and beat the crap out of the Mariners for 3 games. Now they basically have a lock on this division but they get the Angels for 3 games, right? Oh, and they finish with the Mariners for 4. They might have the Mariners out by then. If Houston goes and takes care of the Mariners, the Mariners could be done before that series even matters. The Rangers might just have to win 1 game to get in and win the division. So it's just crazy. And I don't want to ever say that a team is complacent or didn't put the work in because I find it hard to believe with a team like the Astros, they wouldn't do it.
So one more, and then we'll move to some of the other playoff races because Russ is going to join us in kicking on the AL West. Were we too hard on the Rangers? I mean, you saw them plenty during their low times, AJ, but then Josh Young comes back. Adolis Garcia comes back. Evan Carter is one of those guys, right? Let's call him up and see what happens. What's the worst that happens? He doesn't hit to start. Oh, wait. Mature approach at the plate. He's spitting at pitches like a veteran. He's hitting homers. He's making contact. And even if this eventually gets figured out by the rest of the league, right? If the league makes adjustments, whatever. It's the end of the season. So, if he struggles in the playoffs, whatever. They're trying to get into the postseason right now, and he has been an asset to the team. And suddenly their offense looks a lot better. Remember, AJ, you said second half of the lineup doesn't look great. Well, now it looks much better because dudes are back.
Well, absolutely. And one thing that has gotten better is their bullpen. I don't care how much they hit. Their bullpen is what was killing them, and they've kind of righted that ship a little bit. Bochy, the starters have gone deeper. Montgomery pitched great yesterday. Got deeper into the game, and it saved his bullpen guys so he could have them lined up how he wanted them. It comes down to, can their starting pitching get deep enough to allow Bochy to make the moves he needs to make? They're going to score runs. They had always been scoring runs. The problem was they'd score runs and then they'd give it up. And this weekend against the Mariners, they didn't give it up. They tried, but they did not give it up.
This is exactly what I always talk about. People are like, well, how can you explain baseball as a team sport? Like it's a bunch of individuals, blah, blah, blah. If your lineup bangs, which when you were in there watching them, you were talking a lot about how after the 4-hole, 5-hole, it was nothing. Now that lineup is extended because Josh Young is back. Now that lineup's extended a little because Evan Carter's hit his 4th home run since he's been called up. But it doesn't matter who hits or doesn't hit. If you're always trying to score 5 runs and then the other team scores 4, then you score 3 more and the other team scores 3 more. You're always in these games where you had said it before when you talked to Bochy, these guys are gassed. These guys are exhausted. And I'm kind of seeing that a little bit with the Cubs. They are throwing guys out there. They swept the Rockies. They should have swept them, but they are burning up. They're burning up Merriweather. They're burning up Kwas. They're burning up these guys at the back end of their bullpen that are pivotal pieces that if you limp into the playoffs, you have to be able to take some weight off of these bullpen pieces, some weight off of these 7, 8, 9 in your lineup that aren't producing every day. And that's how you play team baseball. And Jordan Montgomery, Monty's outing he had the other day was huge for them. Huge for them. Going that deep it's important. And this is what they're going to ride for the last week of the season here.
Yeah, they needed the bullpen yesterday too. AJ,
yeah, but look at what they
look good.
Yeah, but Evaldi gave him 5 innings, right? Okay, that's fine. But he had Martin Perez ready to go. Chapman was unavailable because he had pitched the previous 2 games, so they used Leclerc to close it. But Dunning 5 1/3, and then who does Bochy back that with? Andrew Heaney. And he gives him, an inning and 2/3, I believe he did? He gave him an inning and 2/3 after, or 2 1/3, sorry. Dunning 5 1/3, Stratton 1/3, and then Heaney 2 1/3, no runs, no hits. And then Chapman comes in and closes out Friday. And then Monty on Saturday goes out and gives them 7, right? Sets the bullpen up nicely. So then everyone's pretty rested. And then you get to Sunday, Evaldi 5, and then Martin Perez inning and 2/3. Stratton didn't do very well, but then Hernandez an inning, Burke, and then Leclerc closes it out. I mean, this is what they need if they're the Rangers. They need some sort of length. For a while, their starters weren't getting out of the 3rd, 4th inning. Now they're at least giving them 5. And then with some of their length options, Heaney, Martin Perez, whoever it is, Bochy can mix and match a little bit better.
And Boch can mix and match.
He's the best.
He's really good at that.
He's really good at it.
He's got starters that can eat up innings for him in the bullpen now, right? That's what AJ's talking about, and that helps. Okay, so that's an all-out grind fest. And you know what's funny to me is we're going to get to the playoffs. A couple of these AL West teams are going to get in, and they're either going to do great, and we're going to go, see, they were playing in the playoffs down the stretch of the season. Or they won't. We'll say they ran out of gas and flip it for Minnesota, where we're going to be like either, well, they were in cruise control through the end of, whatever happens, we're just going to ride that narrative. That's how baseball works. Am I right?
No, because this is the new baseball show. We're not riding that narrative. We're not riding it.
So then let's be definitive here, okay? Let's get to the Twins. They clinched the division. It has not been difficult for them in the second half of the season. Plus, their team kind of hit their stride while the rest of the division literally tanked and sold, except for Cleveland for 2.5 weeks for the dump deadline. But besides that, it was not a competitive division at all. Twins partied hard. Did you see some of the video?
Love that.
Dallas Keuchel went off, and he battled back to get to this point, just hit 10 years service. So he's having a time. This went viral. The clip we're looking at right now, the beer shower, it's more of like a beer fountain. Everyone's coming at him. But apparently Kenta Maeda was actually the MVP of the party. Yes.
I didn't hear this.
I was tipped off about this. Saw some video. We don't have it, but apparently he was letting go more than anyone else. And they said he's not usually like that. On the field, it'll give you a little bit of emotion, but Correa pointed it out, and most of the guys said he was very pleased with making the playoffs with this ball club, and another guy who had come back from a significant injury. So, AJ, and one more thing. Let's show the Sonny Gray line on his lack of run support this season. Quote, I think we're just saving them for the postseason, the runs. That's fine. Twins are 37-26, second half of the year. Starting pitching's been good.
Tired quote. That's a tired quote to me.
Why? It's like a dad joke?
It's just a tired quote. Just say I hope we score. I think
funny.
we've been.
Come on.
No, but it's kind of a backhanded. I don't know. I mean, listen, they haven't been scoring for him. Okay. I mean, but we're saving them for the postseason. I mean, like, dude, how about we just go out and we'll try to win in the postseason because they haven't won in, I don't know, 20 years a game?
It's been a while. It's
18
been a while,
games in a row they've lost in the postseason.
Let's cut the narrative off. Everybody will be uber surprised if the Twins get past
Anyone?
the
I won't.
second round.
I won't. Oh, well, second round?
Yes or
Yeah.
yes?
First round, I think a lot is possible in the first round. I think.
Well, I mean, who are they going to play? If they get Houston, they could possibly get Houston.
Oh, I'm not saying it's going to be easy. I'm saying who's good. We are
Or
all going to be
Seattle.
surprised if they
It's going to
get
be
past
Houston
the
or
second
Seattle,
round.
pretty much, is who they're going to play.
And
they will be the underdog.
You think?
Yeah.
With Gray, Ryan, Maeda,
and Lopez
as their starters?
Yeah, but
Really?
what happens
Yes.
in the postseason? What happens in the postseason? You pitched for the strikeout. Good Lord. How many strikeouts do you think the Twins are going to have?
Oh, they set the all-time record for strikeouts this
But
year.
I'm saying in a postseason game,
Going up against pitchers who know how to strike guys out.
and you're only facing guys that are striking guys out. I'm not
Yes.
saying that they're only hitting, homers off of 4s and 5s. I'm saying they're going like you're gonna attack that lineup the way that teams have been attacking it the whole year, except you're fine putting a guy on base if it means, you know what, we can get the next guy with a punch out. They might punch out 20 times in a postseason game. And I don't feel like I'm like over exaggerating it because of whatever team they play. I don't really care. You match up against these guys and you just exploit weaknesses. And I think they just punch out way too much. And then the opposite's going to be, well, they hit home runs, and whatever team hits the most home runs wins World Series.
But other
games.
teams hit home runs.
Right.
That
That's
they're
the
going to
teams
play
that win
against. The
World-
Astros hit home
The
runs.
teams who win World Series don't strike out.
It's both.
Yep, they don't strike. Look at the last, I don't know how many years, the team who strikes out the least usually wins.
Analytics nerds go wild on that because they're like,
But-
it's contact and slug, okay?
No,
Yes.
it's contact.
Besides the Giants.
It's all a narrative. It's all a narrative. The narrative is, oh well, I want to push the fact that home runs are winning. Yeah, the teams that hit the most home runs are probably going to win the series, but that's not what it is. It's the strikeouts, and the strikeouts are too high for Minnesota. No matter who your pitching staff, which I think is an unbelievable pitching staff, and I don't think I'm taking the under on runs and the over on the Minnesota series for punch outs.
Hey, let's talk to Russ Dorsey about the AL wild card, and then we'll also hit that Charlie Morton injury that could be tough for Atlanta. It takes another hit to their starting staff. So watchstadium.com/foul territory, just talking about the losers for a moment, or at least some. One of these teams might make the playoffs, Marlins or Reds, but the team that will 100% make it to the postseason next year, Yanks, Giants, Marlins, Reds. There's probably some people that are like, can I say none of the above?
No.
If you're a pessimist, but think about that. Russ is going to join us. It's a sad day for Russ. He has already buried the Chicago Bears, but we don't talk about that here. This is a baseball show. Russ next.
So when everyone's a kid, they think of the major leagues like, oh, they must have this for food. They must have a full wall of candy. They must have this. And then you get to big leagues, and you're like, it's not really like that unless you're at Yankee Stadium, and it really is like that. Doug makes everything perfect over here. My favorite thing that they have here, they have like these mini lamb chops that are just out of this world. They're like lamb lollipops. That's the best thing they put out there. That's I think it's day 2 they usually do it. I'll come to the field pretty hungry tomorrow.
Delicious. Better
Yes,
than the
it's
lobster.
fire.
Better than the lobster roll that they make there fresh for you.
I don't think we've had a couple lobster rolls, and I'm a huge lobster roll vibe, but the lamb chops are they're out of this world. And we asked them a couple years ago. We're like, all right, if this is what you give the visiting team, like, what do you guys get on the home side? And he said it's pretty much the same thing, only you get a little extra creativity and a little extra special over there, but pretty much they get the same spreads as us. So we used to joke, it's like, this is what they're giving the team they're trying to beat. They're giving the best food ever to the team they're trying to beat. This is the weekend that you come to the field hungry. As a former teammate of Yusei's, he was not. I'm sure he wasn't kidding. I absolutely think that was something that he has to have before he goes out for starts. We kind of talked about it, me and a couple other people from Seattle. I'm like, he has a kid. I don't know how you end up with 11 hours of sleep anyways. Like, the rest of us that have kids never get 11 hours of sleep. So I don't know how that's like the bare minimum and that would throw you off your game. If I ever got 11 hours of sleep, I would feel over the moon. Whether I'm starting relief, that just doesn't happen when you have a kid. I don't understand. I don't understand his sleep schedule. That's incredible.
And now back to foul territory.
Back on FT Live, Braun, Kratz, Pierzynski, Bella's gone, but Russ Dorsey is here from Stadium. What's up, Russ? Let's just get this out of the way. I'm going to steal AJ's thunder. Shittier situation right now, Chicago Bears or Chicago White Sox? That's how I'm going to tie this into baseball.
Oh, man.
Bears.
It might be the Bears. Because I'm just going to look overall. Like, I'm not a fan of the Chicago White Sox, right? I cover baseball for a living. But I have been, unfortunately, a fan of the Chicago Bears my entire lifetime. And it's one of those things where I'd like to call myself an observer of the Bears now because I can't be a fan of what I see on Sundays, right? And I tweeted about it last week. Like, the fall is too beautiful here in the city of Chicago to be upset on Sundays when there's amazing brunch here in the city. So it's a shit show, and I don't really know where we go from here.
I mean, I know it's a baseball show, but we're also a sports show, okay? You were tweeting at number one yesterday, okay? You were taking some shots at him.
Is it taking a shot? I was asking for accountability because he sat in his locker and was blaming the media for trying to break up that locker room, but they've gotten boat raced every week. And at some point, you can't blame the media. Because did the media go out there and get their head knocked off against the Kansas City Chiefs? No.
All right, so then next week you got the Broncos that gave up 70 versus the Bears. I mean, is this the worst game in the history of the NFL 4 weeks in?
It is, because the team that got blown out by 50 by the Dolphins yesterday is a 3-point favorite on the road in Chicago against the Bears.
Okay, I might have to give up my Bear fandom too.
Horrific game.
Are you kidding me?
Horrific.
They're underdogs against the Broncos?
The Bears are a 3-point dog at home against a team that lost by 50 points yesterday.
That's because blaming the media sucks, and they're just taking a page out of Pierzynski's book. Whenever he had tough times in the bigs, he was like, fuck it, media's fault.
Take that, Merkin. Yeah. Blaming it on my guy, Merk.
Yeah. Exactly. Merk, who wears the same shirt 5 days a week.
Love you, Merk.
I love you, Merk.
Okay, Russ. So baseball-wise, were you more surprised that the Rangers swept the Mariners or that the Astros cannot handle the Royals?
That the Astros couldn't do anything with the Royals. Like, that Mariners series, it's one of those where you're like, okay, the Rangers are limping into the postseason. The Mariners have not played like the same team like they played like in August, where they had the best record they've ever had in the month of August. We're red hot, and they ran out of gas. And I think with a lot of these younger teams, you've seen it with the Cincinnati Reds, you're seeing it a little bit with Miami, where you use all your energy to get to this point, and then at some point, the other shoe drops where it's just like, we're just gassed. And that's what I'm seeing right now from Seattle. From the Royals, it's a team that doesn't necessarily have much to play for, but they're like, hey, we're going to play spoiler. And I'm shocked that the Houston Astros, that have been in this position for almost a decade now, played like that at home, knowing what was on the line. I really am.
I completely agree with you. What I need to agree with you on is when one of these three AL West teams don't make it, you have to choose which one's not going to make it.
Mm-hmm.
Which one would be the biggest disappointment before you choose which one's not going to make it?
I think the Astros would probably be the biggest disappointment, right? Like, the team that won the World Series last year, missing the postseason is a pretty big disappointment. And I think of all those three teams, the one that you kind of thought would figure things out just because that's what they do is the Houston Astros. And I said last week, I think when I was on here with you guys last week, that the team that lost the series between Seattle and the Rangers would probably miss the postseason. And that ends up being the Mariners. And, this week they have Houston and Texas. And I think the Mariners are going to be the odd team out.
Wow.
We're looking at playoff odds, by the way, if you're listening to the pod. 98% for the Blue Jays, 97% for the Rangers, and then the Astros and Mariners are kind of splitting up. Astros still had a little bit of the edge there with a week left in the regular season, 60% to the Mariners, 44.5%. In the National League, you've got the Diamondbacks at 85%, the Cubs at 56%, the Marlins at 52%, the Reds at 6.5%. And the Giants basically done. We're going to bury them later. So, are you guys good on AL with Russ? Can I ask?
No,
him about
I got a question for him
ahead.
and Kratz. So I did a Mariners game a few weeks ago, and it was when in the middle of the Mariners, they were just hotter than hell, right? They were just winning every game. Julio Rodriguez was the best player in the world again. And I asked Scott Service on the manager meeting, I said, hey, do you worry that you guys, shot your shot too early? Like, did you shoot your shot and you are too hot too soon? And he's like, oh, no, I don't believe in that. We can maintain it. And now all of a sudden you look at them and they're like, their booster rockets had failed and they're like, falling back to earth. So do you guys believe in shooting your shot too early?
I do, especially for younger teams and teams that, they're not like the Astros, right? Who every year you expect them to get to the postseason. They're going to make a deep run in the playoffs and get to the World Series. I think for a lot of teams, when this is the Mariners made the playoffs last year for the first time in 21 years. And this time it's still fresh. Like, this is something that's still new to them. 2 years ago, they missed out on the postseason in the last week of the season, just like that was going to happen this week. And so it's not like they're used to going to the playoffs. It's not like they're used to these moments. And there's a lot of pressure that builds in September, right? August is still August. You play the best baseball that you've played all year long. Cool. Julio looks like Julio. Cool. But at some point, those games in September mean a little bit more. And they had a ton of games this month against their division, and it has not gone the same. And now you lose one or two of those games, you get swept by the Rangers, and now all that pressure's on. And you know what's ahead of you because you still have 2 more series against Houston and the Rangers this week. And if you don't win those series, you're going to be out. And you're going to start looking around like, man, did we wait too long to really make our move? And once we made our move, did we use all that energy? So I think it's true.
I don't know that you use any more energy or not. I don't know that shooting your shot is too early, too late. I think you just start playing into the team that you're supposed to be. You're never going to overachieve. You can't overachieve. You can't play better than what you really are. To me, you're just not playing up to your standard. So I don't know. I don't think so. I think they are definitely they got a tough uphill climb to get in here the last week, but I don't know. I don't think so. I would be on the line of what Scott Service said, but I also would look back and say what Russ said. Whoa, they were going through an easy stretch of the season. The schedule was easy, and then they started hitting their divisional opponents. So maybe they're not as good as they thought they were in that run.
But Kratzy, here's my thing. You've been on teams, right? When you fall behind early, you have to use extra energy to get back to where you think you're supposed to be at the beginning. And then you get there and you're like, oh, okay, we got there. And then all of a sudden you're not there anymore. So that's why I think this, it's like when you watch a basketball game and their team's 20 points down and they make a run and they get within 2 points. And then all of a sudden the other team's like, okay, now we're going to play again. And the other team has used all their energy to get back to the game almost even. And if they can never get over that hump and get a little bit of a lead, the other team just like, okay, shoe fly, we're going to go back. I mean, I don't know. I just think there's more to it than people want to admit.
And I think for those veteran teams, that's why you go out and you get guys who've been in the postseason. That's why you go out and get guys who've been in the World Series before and know how to be consistent from April to the end of September, because there's a lot of this that happens throughout a season. And it's the teams that can kind of stay consistent in that, never get too high, never get too low, that usually end up being fine, when it's all said and done. Now, you have your exceptions, but I think for a team like Seattle, where, look, they made it to the postseason last year. Hooray. Everybody in Seattle's happy. I have friends who were Mariners fans that were hyped that they made it to the postseason. But then this year, after their run in August, where money's on the table in September, right? You have it right in front of you. Everybody, we've been talking about it for the better part of a month. Those series against the Rangers, series against Houston, in that last weekend of the season where you're going to have the teams that are in front of you, or at that point, they were behind you because you had jumped ahead of them. Those teams you're going to play them head to head. Who's going to show up? And it's been those teams with veteran experience. A team like Texas that has Corey Seager that's been in the World Series before. A team like Houston that has been in the World Series so much over the last decade. It's those teams that kind of rose to the occasion when they needed to.
But if you talk about teams that are going to do the best in the postseason, wouldn't you think if the AL West would get together and say, okay, we need somebody from the AL West to make it to the World Series, which team do we want going there based on how we can set up our rotation, roster, all that stuff? Who do you think is going to be the team? Because for me, I think the Mariners, you look at that starting rotation and that bullpen, that is epic. Like to the point where they are the most, to me, they're the most dangerous team in the West. I understand that the Rangers are where they are and the season is going how it's going. But if they get in, I think they're more dangerous. If all three get in, which they won't, I think they would be the most dangerous.
I'm with you on the Mariners starting pitching. Unfortunately, when I look at the Rangers lineup and what they're able to do with like Corey Seager, I'm gonna tell you what, man. Like I know Shohei's gonna win the AL MVP, but Corey Seager deserves a lot of credit for the season that he's having down there in Texas, and he has been everything that you want your $325 million player to be. Just quietly going out there every night as a homer, 100 ribs, 30 homers, and has really just carried that lineup. With Marcus Semien there at the top. And Houston, there's something with Houston right now where maybe it's because you have those deep runs every year in and year out, where they just don't look like the same team. Like the version of Framber Valdez that we've seen as of late is not the Framber Valdez that is a top 5 starter in Major League Baseball. And if you can't rely on your ace when you get to this point in the season, you're going to have some issues. But with the Rangers, like that bullpen, you guys know you need a really good bullpen in October, and they do not have that. So now you're relying on scoring 6-7 runs a game to try to win in the postseason, and that's tough.
Hey, let me ask you about the National League for a moment. So the Charlie Morton injury, in my mind, kind of sneaks under the radar for Atlanta this year. And also, because we haven't done it yet on this show, congrats to Ronald Acuna Jr., 40-40 Club. Or eventually, 40-70 Club?
40-70 eventually.
Maybe this week. Yeah. So that was cool, the homer off Patrick Corbin the other day. But Charlie Morton hits the IL. It's a sprained right index finger. Earliest you'll see him back is the NLCS. We're not getting guarantees about Max Fried yet either. You have to see how the blister heals, which can be tricky. It's always a topic that pops up in baseball with a few pitchers per year. And for Morton, again, a solid season, Russ. Mid-3s ERA. Strikeout numbers are still excellent for him. Last year, they dealt with this in their rotation. Strider was coming back from the oblique. Remember, eventually Philly blitzed him in that postseason game. Fried had the stomach bug. So now you're going to start to turn your attention to, of course, Strider's going to be the horse and lead the way. Bryce Elder, who hasn't been as good in the second half. Kyle Wright coming back from an injury. My point is, I think Atlanta has suddenly turned from the perfect team to the powerhouse in baseball that has flaws.
Yeah, and we just talked about it with the Rangers. Like, they're a team that I look at now because of those injuries and say, all right, you're just going to have to score 6-7 runs a game, right? And that juggernaut offense that has been historic, they're going to have to lead this thing because you talk about Bryce Elder, a 4.71 ERA in the second half, has not been the same guy he was in the first half. Even Spencer Strider, who is the next guy who's going to strike out 300 in the big leagues, has a 4.32 ERA in the second half. Like, he's getting touched up. He's still striking out a lot of guys, but he's getting touched up too. And with Charlie Morton, he's so consistent. Even at 39 years old, you talk about that mid-3s ERA, almost struck out 200. And he's a guy that has pitched a ton in the postseason, guy pitched in the World Series on a broken leg. Like, that's the dude that I want in that rotation. He was probably going to be the guy that got starts in the postseason over a guy like Bryce Elder, who was an all-star this year because of how consistent he was. And now you're going to have Strider trying to lead that thing, and you're going to have, openers in the postseason, which I don't love. Like, just puts you at a deficit when it comes to your bullpen in the series. It's not a great situation if you're Atlanta. And I don't know what they're going to do because, you're trying to think ahead to the ALCS to get Charlie Morton back. You might get beat in the NLDS. You know what I mean? Like, I think the most dangerous team going into the postseason right now is the Philadelphia Phillies. And the same thing that happened to Atlanta last year where They were red hot going into the postseason, just like they are this year when they chased down the New York Mets. And then the Phillies came through and said, okay, we're going to play like the team we're supposed to play like. And then they got bounced, beat them handily, 3-1 in that series. That thing could happen again, and it would be deja vu for Atlanta.
Are we talking about it because this is baseball and this is what we do? We talk about like, well, Mike Trout when he was the best player in the game, but he doesn't have a great arm. Like we're always looking for a flaw. Is this because the Braves have been this good that we're like, oh yeah, they'll still be fine even though they're going to lose their number 2 and number 3 going into the playoffs? And this happens to any other team, it's SOL. They're Dunsky.
I think it's because we know the game, and at the end of the day, yes, because they have that lineup, they have a shot. You know what I mean? Like when a lot of teams don't have the opportunity to have the first player to ever go 40-70, and Matt Olson, who set the franchise record for homers, and Marcell Ozuna, who's had 36 homers, and Michael Harris the second, and on and on and on. Austin Riley has 35 homers. Like most teams have one of those guys. The fact that they have all those guys and Ozzy Albies, it gives them an opportunity, and they have a little bit more margin for error. But we look at that rotation, and because we know that's such an important part of ultimately getting to the World Series, where you have to be critical and say, hey, even with all that you have that made you such a really good team, if you don't have this part of the equation going into October, it's going to be very difficult for you to get to the World Series.
Yeah, it's a good point. And I think the one other thing on that front, I know you said you can't just bullpen your way through, but their bullpen is good. It's really good.
The Braves bullpen is okay.
Really?
It's okay. They're not elite. They're not Mariners elite. I think the Phillies have more strikeouts and probably walks too. They walk the world. But the Braves bullpen from like 7 and 8, I think Iglesias in a big spot. I think he's legit. He's given up some big homers, but I think you have.
I worry about him. I worry about
him too.
I worry
about Minter. I worry about him. I worry about there's a lot of guys on that bullpen that have been known to give it up in big spots. I mean, am I wrong, Russ?
And no, you're not. And I think like AJ Minter has been so shut down for them the last couple of years, and he just hasn't had the same type of year this year. And I think we think back to that 21 team that won the World Series, where you had Minter and Tyler Matzek and all these guys, and that they call them like the night shift. Those guys it's not the same group, right? And Minter, he has times where he flashes being that guy, but sometimes for relievers, like you're just gonna have that season where it's not clicking for you. And I think AJ Minter's having that. I probably trust AJ Minter more in October in some of those big spots than some of those other arms that they have, just because the guy's done it and he's been in those spots before. And I think, when the lights are bright in October, you're going to have some guys who have had good seasons, but they've just never been in that position before, and it shows.
Yeah, it also showed last year not having Fried. Like I think Fried is a big part of it. He's not pitching the 7th, 8th, and 9th innings. You might not even get 7 out of Strider. So yes, I get it that those guys have to do that, but Fried really, I feel like he and Ian Anderson in 21 really pushed them through the playoffs. And I just don't know. I think that's the biggest injury, even though Morton's a huge injury, just a lot of uncertainty there. For me, there's a lot of uncertainty.
Yeah, no, Strider starts a game 1 for you, strikes out 12, but if he's done after 5 2/3 because he's at $110, you're in a tough spot, right? And then you're trying to get 3.5 innings out of your bullpen. Then that puts you at a deficit the next day. It's like Bryce Elder's your game 2 starter. If Bryce Elder's only going 5 innings, that means you need another 4 innings from your bullpen. And then in game 3, you have to go bullpen game after just using 7 innings from your bullpen the prior 2 nights. It's tough, man. And you get in a position where it's just like you just can't do that.
And Braves fans, just so you know, Strider only had 5 strikeouts last night. So if you needed anything else to worry about, there's another piece.
He was human for one night. My one name, though, is Pierce Johnson. His stuff consistently looks really good for them.
Ever since he's come over.
Yeah. I think he's going to be heavily relied on in the postseason.
Okay.
Just throwing that name out.
I like
You're
that
going to
name.
hear a lot about Pierce Johnson in the playoffs for Atlanta. If they're doing well, that's going to be a guy where he's like the Matzek, where they're like, look, they found this dude. Not found, but obviously
they
he
found
comes
him
over from Colorado. He didn't
with
have
like a
big
4
numbers.
ERA, 4.7.
Yeah, it was higher. Yeah, and it was on the
hey,
road.
listen, the one thing that helps them though, they get an extra off day in the NLDS.
Yes,
that's a series that has an extra off day. So there's so they play game 1 off day, play game 2, then they play game 3. Or no, then they have another off day, then they play game 3, game 4, off day, game 5. So there's a built-in extra off day in the NL this year.
there you go.
And the AL's going back-to-back off day.
Yes.
Back, yeah.
AJ, are you doing AL or NL?
Fox has AL this year.
You have AL? Okay, cool. We don't know what series yet, though, right?
It'll be the Twins or Twins West winner. It'll be the West winner, whoever wins the West. So it looks like Texas.
Twins in Texas. You love Texas. Russ, thank you. Talk to you later this week.
Thanks, guys.
Cheers, man. We'll be right back and see if Joey Votto's coming back.
Got a quick question. How has the crowds been at the stadium so far? You guys been packing the house? Because I know personally, I know the Marlins most likely are not packing the house. The Cincinnati Reds most likely are not. And how have the crowds and the environment been for you guys?
I'd be lying if I didn't say I was a little disappointed that we didn't have better crowds. This is a playoff environment. We just played the Cubs for 3 games at home. They're a playoff team. We're a playoff team. We're fighting. Then we play the Giants, and I know school comes back, and I'm not saying about a Wednesday day game when school is in. I'm not I'm not trying to judge based off of that, but I would have liked to have seen a little more Snakes fans when the Cubs came to town. It kind of felt 50-50 Cubs fans, D-backs fans, and I know the Cubs have a great fan base, and I'm not arguing against that, but I've been excited to be here in Arizona, but I would love Diamondbacks fans to really show out when we come home and we play the Astros in the last week of the season with a chance to make some noise and go to the postseason. So a little bit disappointed, and I understand we haven't, you have to earn the right for fans to come, but I would really love to see the place back.
Nice. Well, I got a quick statement. Fans, if your team has the opportunity to make it to the playoffs, let's go. Let's show up. Let's go support your team. Come on, let's go to the playoffs.
And there's no Arizona Cardinals games to watch. They stink. So come out and watch a team that's actually fighting for the postseason. You know what I mean? This is a team that's got a chance. And like I said, you have no idea. Once you're in, anything can happen. So, the energy, I would love for the energy to be electric when we get back to Chase Field next week, and with a chance to really clinch a postseason berth for the first time since 2017.
The Cardinals are tanking. Arizona Cardinals. I mean, I think they're
Caleb.
They're very much
Caleb Williams
in the Caleb Williams sweepstakes.
And now back to foul territory.
Back on FT Live, before we kick up Hot Corner, it is a good point by Pierzynski. There was bulletin board material for the Arizona Cardinals this weekend. They all heard about Mr. Nice Guy, which is true, Paul Sewald, saying that the Arizona Cardinals stink, so please come to Diamondbacks games and support AZ. And what? Kratz? No, me. No, I misjudged the Cowboys. They're good, not great, because they beat the shit out of the Jets, but I forgot the Jets are a minor league team until they have a real quarterback. So the Cardinals are actually bad, not terrible.
I don't know. Stick to baseball.
I'm
still trying to figure out the tiebreakers. I read the tiebreakers article before this and everything.
The baseball tiebreakers?
Yeah, I can't handle it.
Mostly those season series against
I can't handle you saying Cardinals and like a playoff team. I don't know. St. Louis, not playoffs.
Let's sizzle. Hot Corner time. Joey Votto, curtain call. I love the line, too, that he gave everyone.
I got to go hit.
That was good. It was classy. It was fun. And we don't know if this is the end for Joey, not only in Cincinnati, but for his career. He's got an option. Reds aren't going to give him – they've given him a lot. I think he's fine with.
He's earned a lot.
He's earned a lot. I know. It's all good. I'm just saying he's not coming back on the current contract with the option that they have. So he gets a knock, of course. Reds win that game on Sunday 4-2. But I also do need to point out the Reds season was lost on Saturday. That made it, 5 of 6 that they had lost when they were up 9-0 and they fell in that game. The crowd was booing, like Northeast booing them. So I think the Reds are done. Is Joey Votto done with the Reds? Anyone get any of those vibes right there? Yes, AJ? Is he done with his career too?
I don't know. I think I just don't know that the Reds are going to want. I mean, listen, if he'll come back for 1 year, a couple $1 million, will he do that? I don't know, but I just don't know that the Reds are in this ultimate youth movement, right? They're bringing up De La Cruz and Steer and Encarnacion Strand and all these guys, right? And they're all like young. And then he had Joey Votto. It was a nice story. He's kind of like the old guy that's in the old funny guy in the locker room that's, fitting in with the young kids. I just don't know that they're going to want to commit that many at-bats and that much playing time because they already kind of have a logjam. Remember we had the whole Kirk Herbstreit, Jonathan India, De La Cruz, the whole thing of where everyone's going to play. So I don't know they're going to want to commit that many either DH at-bats or first base at-bats to Joey Votto. I mean, he's plus the injury factor. I don't know. This felt like the end when they gave him the standing ovation. And I think if you're Joey Votto, you have to really think. I mean, he's 40 years old. Do I really want to grind through another season? We'll see. He deserves to do whatever he wants because he's done so much for the Reds. But this felt like the end from the organization.
I feel like it's the end with the Reds. I feel like it is. I don't know. I listened to his postgame like on-field speech that he gave, and he said something very telling. He said, "For now," he said, "This is the end for now."
What does that mean?
Meaning, like I think he's going to try to play. But what AJ said is such a big thing. Like, is he going to try to grind it out and grind through more injuries? I don't know. I don't think he had the season he wanted to this past year to end it. I don't know him enough, but I think what the Reds did, I think was huge because how many times do we see guys finish their career with one team, whether he goes and plays next year or not? Right now, he's finishing his career with the Reds. They're not picking up his last option for $24 million.
Mm-hmm.
But
is Joey Votto about to replace Brandon Belt in Toronto and be their veteran old dude?
Canada for life. I don't know.
People have been talking about that for years, and
maybe 4 or 5 years ago would have made sense, but I don't. I just don't think. Listen, I think that again that goes back to, Vlad plays first. Guerrero, he's DH. He's banged up again. Do you want to commit at bats to Joey Votto, a guy? Listen, we all come to the end of our career, and Joey Votto had a great career. There's a great chance he probably ends up in Cooperstown because he walked a lot and he did a lot of great things, right? He was the king. He was kind of the first guy that your boy Brian Kenny, Scott, could go on there and say, look how much he walks. He kind of ushered in the new wave, right, of hitters, and he was a great hitter. Hit homers, hit big homers, got a lot of huge hits for the Reds. It was a great player. But there comes a point for every single player, and Kratz knows this, where it's just over. And you can keep playing, and you can try to grind it out, but does he really want to do that? I mean, I don't know much about his personal life, but does he want to grind it through another year? I don't know. I mean, if he wants to make that decision, then he earned the right to make that decision. Just does he want to switch teams? Does he want to switch organizations? Because, again, I feel like this felt like the end for the Reds.
I love that the Reds did this for him. I love the fans did it for him. Mm-hmm. My mind goes to Brett Gardner, played his whole career with the Yankees, never got it. Never got it because he never re-signed. There's a lot more behind that whole story, but it's tough to see that. So I'm glad that the Reds were able to do this, and they definitely blew their season on Saturday.
Yeah, you're right. Also, Brian Kenny would offer Joey Votto, 1 year, $2 based off Ohtani making 300-something million. That got a lot of play.
Minor league deal for Joey Votto.
Minor league deal, independent league deal, but you can still play in the big league team or just pay us to play.
Yes.
With the salary cap. Anyway, let's swing back and go over our picks plus some breaking news that most of the world doesn't know about yet, but Erik Kratz is about to go pro in another sport. I'm serious.
Not crazy, Scott, but under Hal Steinbrenner, that's not really the mode in which they've operated. Now, they've done it twice. They did it for Cole, and they did it for Judge. So I can't say, oh, they don't spend. No one can say that. Their payroll was one of the 3 highest in the game this year, one of the 2 highest. So it's certainly possible, but if you're thinking about this, and you're thinking about Ohtani possibly coming to the East Coast, well, if he is willing to do that, the Mets are going to offer him the most money. And if he's willing to come to the East Coast, it's probably because he wants the most money. So that would obviously point toward the Mets and Cohen. And I do think both teams will be involved, at least to check in. How can you not be? It's Shohei Ohtani. Hello. But getting serious about this, I would expect the Mets would be more active in that regard. And keep in mind, their general manager, Billy Epler, is the guy who signed him for the Angels. So there's a previous relationship there. I have mixed feelings about this whole thing. And certainly Tim makes a point. Those teams are very flawed. At the same time, just what you said is true, Scott. The Diamondbacks, Reds, and Marlins have not been to the postseason in a big way in a long time. The Reds, I know, in the COVID year made it, but the Marlins too. But you know what I'm saying. In a real season, an 162-game season, those teams have not been factors for the most part in recent years. So that alone is a good thing, that there's excitement in those cities, that there's interest in those teams. People are now catching on to the Diamondbacks and the way they play, the way they go about it. Would I suggest that any of these teams is really good and a World Series threat? No, I would not suggest that. And I'll go even further to kind of support Tim's point here. This talk now of the Padres winning out and possibly slipping into this thing, even though their odds are like below 1%. That alone is absurd. The Padres have had a horrible year. You shouldn't be able to have a horrible year and win, I don't know, 12 straight at the end of the year and get in the playoffs. But that's where we are now, and we're not going back the other way. In fact, once this sport expands to 32 teams, there will be probably even a greater number of teams in the playoffs.
And now, back to Foul Territory.
FT Live on Stadium, now announcing the second Foul Territory member to go pro in poker. He's sitting next to me. He's trying to hold it together. But AJ, did you know that Erik Kratz won an online poker tournament this weekend?
How much did he win? I don't care that he won. How much?
Just under $8,000.
Nice.
Bruce Banner, a.k.a. Erik Kratz, with a really nice piece of a salmon roll. Congrats on winning the 20K GTD. And you can see it's 3 added to the account there at the bottom, but he won a ton of bounties. It was a bounty tournament, meaning when you knock people out, you get their money. So Kratz was a superstar, kept texting me. Obviously, it was not my bedtime. So it's like, it's 11, it's 12, it's 1, it's 2, still going. I'm in first, whatever. Boom, like 2:15. I won. I was like, holy shit.
So, and then I laid in bed like this.
It's
just
a rush.
Numbers. It was a rush, and it was so long, and it was quick hands when it was just back and forth. Oh man! And I'm like, I think I just won like $1,000, babe. And she's like, what?
No, it was more.
I was
than
like,
that.
no, I think I just won 2,000, and it just kept adding to my account. And I was like, whoa! And I finally knocked the last guy out, and we both had our bounties up, and you take basically half the bounty, and it was a great online tournament. It was so much fun.
He's got the itch.
I went in again.
You want to play?
I went in again. So heads up for Bruce Banner.
Look out for the man. We've got a new pro. Okay, let's hit our BetMGM blocks. We'll look back at Friday. I missed on Baltimore, but then I rode them this weekend, and it worked out.
Yeah,
I hammered them. I was like, they're not going to keep losing to the Guardians, and they split the series. The biggest hook loss, though, was Pierzynski getting all of his SGP except for Chris Bassett's one walk. And Bassett's like, oh, do not put that walk of shame on my ledger. I'm going to have a walkless game.
So I watched that whole game because of the bet that I had on it. And there wasn't a bat that I think it was a Rosarena. He was 3-0 on. And the 3-0 pitch was like not a strike. And the umpire was like, it's 3-0 hot. I'm like, if I lose because of that one call, I'm going to kill somebody. And it was freaking nuts. He came back in 3-1. He threw another like borderline one. It was like, oh, come on, man.
I loved
it. It was only the 6th time this season that Bassett hasn't had a walk, which is crazy.
Yeah. That's how they get you, baby.
Crazy.
That's how they get you.
I loved it.
There's your money bags.
That was
Okay.
worth it. It was fun.
That is fun. And hey, that is why this time of year you still watch particular games, even if, I mean, that one obviously was playoff relevant, but even if they're not, that's what happens sometimes. So anyway, let's do our locks for Monday. AJ, you can start. Hopefully it's not too complicated. I have like 2 minutes.
Listen, there's only like 4 games today, so it's not like it's very deep, but I'm just going easy. I'm going Verlander versus Castillo. They both have to punch out 6, and they both have to walk 1. That gets me to plus 200. It's simple. It's a lot of punch outs and 1 walk each, and we get plus 200.
A lot of strikeouts, a lot of walks. I love it. That's an easy game. I'm going to go with my guy, Blake Snell, the future NL Cy Young Award winner, giving me 7 strikeouts and 1 walk because he walks. I thought about going 2 walks, but I'm not going with this huge plus money. Mine's only plus 105, and I'm going Logan Webb with 4. Both of them have done that in 10 of their last 11 starts.
We do not exchange homework before we start, so we can show the board because I'm going Snell 7 Ks. I bought it down so that I could go to Webb 4 Ks and over anxious Padres club and obviously a Giants club that strikes out the world. I'm at minus 110. I'll take the 110 to go down. If Blake Snell does not walk anyone, I will lose my shit. I'm not doing that. I do not mess with the walk numbers. That's too much for me. So I'm right behind you, but very close in our homework tonight. Very nice.
$25 extra for the boys.
Boom. There you go. Well, you've been winning a lot more than I have, just not in bets and overall life right now. Poker this weekend. The offer is FOUL, FOUL. That's the bonus code. When you download the BetMGM Sportsbook app or go on the website, betmgm.com, sign up and deposit at least $10 into your BetMGM Sportsbook account. You place your first wager and get up to $1,500 back in bonus bets if that bet loses. And if that happens, your bonus bets will be available once your wager is settled. Gambling problem or concern? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. And let's do a little bonus. Who's hitting a home run tonight, AJ?
I got Josh Young going deep. Sandoval's going to hang in one of them sliders down and in. He's going to rake one to left.
Do you know what that's paying at? I like
that. 475.
475.
475. Wow, I love that. I love that. Well, Dev Ross, my intern tech today,
nice,
picked Jose Altuve to hit a dinger. And I love it. He hasn't faced Castillo yet. He might try to turn over one of those change-ups on him, and Altuve will put him in the bushes.
He hasn't faced him this year?
Ever.
No.
I can't write it. I had to look it up myself. I was like, Dev picked it. Devin Ross, senior, second baseman.
He hasn't faced him ever?
Never.
Really? Castillo's been in the league for a while. I know he's on the NL side.
I checked on two different sites.
What about, I mean, maybe in the playoffs last year, but it usually only shows regular season.
No, regular season.
Regular season?
Yeah, that doesn't count.
Wow. Okay, cool. Look out for that. Okay, second hour of FT Live will begin with a eulogy for the San Francisco Giants. Grant Brisbee will join us. He's a great personality. We'll have a lot of fun with him. Go ahead. You can do it.
I won't.
When
he comes on.
Wait till he comes on? Okay. And I read his article, too, basically about Giants fans freaking out about their season, but he kind of was like, they're not that good. So you can't freak out about the current roster. It's getting there. So we'll get to that. And also America's pitcher, Rowdy Tellez, in hour 2 of FT Live. All right, let's do it. Hour 2 of FT Live. We're right here on Foul Territory's YouTube channel, obviously interacting with all of our friends here in the YouTube chat at some point too. So Grant Brisbee is going to join us in a moment to talk about the San Francisco Giants and what happened to them this season. While we have a moment, though, sticking in that division, we buried them already, but some fans had hope. Machado was holding off the elbow surgery. Had a great game the other night. Fans were going wild. He had 2 home runs. It's all cute, but I mean, the season for them has been done. Even if they won out, like I'll mathematically play it out. Okay, when we get to the end of the season, if we look back and go, okay, if the Padres had won out, like let's say they won that extra inning game against St. Louis, I bet you they still wouldn't have made it. So that's why their season's been done for a while. It's really cute that they went on a nice finish like this. And some writers like, man, I wouldn't want to face the Padres right now in the playoffs. And it's like, well, newsflash, you won't have to. But I will say they have found themselves a pretty nice outfielder in Fernando Tatis Jr., who is a big dude. He is super athletic. He has a lot of reach. I mean, what is he? 6'4" probably. He's a big
6'3",
shortstop. He had his pros and cons as a shortstop. We have found a position for him. That was an excellent play out there, and that's the position for him, AJ.
Oh, no doubt. But I mean, even if they would have won out, we talked about this on Friday, they would have only got to 84 wins. That's probably not going to get them in. So, yeah, it's great they made this run when the season was over. Way to go. The thing for me that is funny is Fernando Tatis is dancing around like they're won 100 games. I mean, I know it's super old school, get off my lawn guy. But, I mean, you're winning 9-0. It was a great catch, but you're still 2 games under 500. And, you know, your season has been a huge disappointment. You'd think there'd be – listen, I'm all for having fun and having a great time, but I don't know. I think there's a point where you just got to, you know, put your head between your legs and worry about 2024.
But aren't you supposed to just have fun through the rest of the season? Just for the counterpoint.
Yeah, no, I get it. No, I understand.
Is he supposed to make a ridiculous catch, bring it back, and be like, we didn't make the playoffs?
No, but he's not.
right.
No. But I mean, I think there's more of like, not that the dancing. Listen, I'm all for having fun and I'm all for enjoying yourself, but there's also a point where you're kind of like, all right, hey, da. But you know, he made it like it's almost like he made it too much of a spectacle about himself. You know, I don't know. I don't want to
watching him all year.
I know. I know. He's always done this. Listen, he's always done this. And it's one of the things that people love about him. And I love watching him play because of the energy he brings and the fun he has. But I don't know. Maybe it's more of just like know where you're at in the situation. I don't know. Listen, go dance, go do whatever you want. I just know it hasn't worked this year.
No, fair.
I think I would say I would commend him because he is the same guy then, you know, when they're winning and losing. But I get what you're saying. You don't want somebody dancing all over the place if he goes 3 for 4 and you lose the game 6-5. And so I get that. I get that part of it. But I also get the fact that the dude's got 26.2 defensive runs saved, and it wasn't even his primary position until he got caught for taking steroids. Like
maybe it should have been though, because he's a badass right fielder. He is a badass right fielder.
They wanted him out there. Remember, there were talks about this for a while, and it made it very easy once he got in trouble, and they're like, "You're in a long-term contract with us," to push him out there.
No doubt.
You know, so
no doubt. But
remember, they tried to move him there. Didn't they try to move him there last year in center? They put him in center for some games.
They talked about it for a while.
Or was it 2 years ago? Whenever it was.
2 years ago.
Last year, he basically he missed the whole year with steroids and the motorcycle accident, which is a whole different topic. But 2 years ago, he missed. He played center field, and then Grisham kind of came in and took over center field. But yeah, I mean, he's turned himself into a hell of a right fielder.
But his bat is gone cold compared to where it was. Like there is a steep decline for some reason into where it was. And that's something that he needs to figure out. But we're going to look back, and now I think they're 9-1 in their last 10. They won, I think it's 10 out of the last 11, something like that.
Who cares?
And they're going to take, but what they're going to do next year is they're going to take this. Okay, in the last 162 games, the Padres have been this using these last 20 games.
Who's going to do that?
Everybody that's going to.
Not writers.
Yes.
Okay,
writers are 100%.
We have one on the line right now. Let's bring him in.
Especially West Coast writers.
And he covers
Giant writers.
Their division.
Giant writers for sure.
He's a regular sized writer.
Right now. He is.
He's a regular
sized writer.
But he writes for the Giants.
He writes for
About the Giants.
About the Giants. Also does a great job hosting the Roundtable, one of the athletic podcasts that I listen to every week. Grant Brisbee joining us right now. So before we get to the Giants then, Grant, can you represent the writers for us and tell us if they're going to look at the end of the season for the Padres and go, hey, that's the real Padres?
Probably.
No.
Yeah, see, he already wrote the article.
Hater too.
But here's the thing. The Giants did something similar last year where they scrambled at the last part of the season and they got to 500. And now all year I get to say, well, they were 500 last year. They were 500. Where at most of the year you were not thinking of them as a 500 team. So yeah, it does linger a little bit.
See, he already wrote the article. We know his shtick, especially as normal sized giant writers. I get it. I like your hat, Grant. What's the hat?
This is the Eugene Emeralds. They have a special promotion or day where they're the Exploding Whales. If you want a really good time, Google Florence, Oregon Exploding Whales, and you'll get a news clip from the 70s. Can't be missed. No spoilers, but you gotta do that for yourself.
I think my internet service provider would flag that and be like, "What are you looking up right now, you weirdo?"
Definitely, the AI would definitely change all my searches.
Stop that. Okay, so first off, last week I read the article where you said fans should be mad. It's talking about the Giants, but why are they absolutely livid? And what would be your answer to the question that you posed? I read the article, but for people to understand the state of the Giants fan base right now, can you guide us through it?
Sure, it is. It's angry out there. The seas are angry, friends. It's really just this bitterness that comes with what the Giants are doing right now. And you have to look back to what Farhan Zaidi took over in 2019, the offseason of 2018. He takes over a team that has a terrible farm system. And of the best prospects, they're teenagers, right? You have a team that almost lost 100 games. You have a lot of veterans that are going to be unmovable. What is the timeline for that sort of team? Well, okay, you've got 2019 is going to be pretty much a total rebuild. 2020, well, before you knew about the pandemic, you're going to have a little bit more. 2021, maybe you're getting to 500. Maybe you're, 2022, 2023. Those are the years that you have to start introducing those teenage prospects. You have to start putting it out in the field. I don't think this is too radically different of a timeline. I think this kind of aligns with what was reasonable to expect in 2019. The difference being that in 2021, they arrived early and everyone's expectations got reset. And that's the Giants who were expecting going forward. They'd finally caught up to the Dodgers and they were just going to be like the Dodgers, 1-2 in the National League West for the foreseeable future. Didn't quite happen like that. That's fine to be a little mad, but livid. I don't quite align with that.
Okay, but we will bury them because we do a lot of hard work behind the scenes, which we could have done about a week ago at this point. There it is. And this is where, for the podcast crowd, I encourage them to watch the show on Stadium or on our YouTube channel right now. So RIP to the 2023 San Francisco Giants, who had a rough month of September. And there's a lot of questions here still to go, but I want to go back to, because I want to ask you about the superstars or the lack thereof, but to the trade deadline. How can you not say what the fuck for a team that literally did nothing? And you can say whatever you want. This show is full of former ball players. If you literally pick up nobody, what kind of message are you sending to your team about their playoff run?
This is AJ Pollock erasure. They got AJ Pollock for cash considerations.
It was a waiver claim, Grant.
And cash.
Cash. It was cash considerations. They paid for those 6 hitless at bats. If you're talking about a message, you kind of, especially in the rotation, because the Giants were 2-3 days out of every 5 was going to be a bullpen day. And I think they were hoping that Kyle Harrison would come up and be one of the regular starters, which kind of sort of happened. But it was curious. It was very curious to say the least. Now that we know that they were going to absolutely mess the bed in September, hey, they kept all the prospects. Good for them, bully for them. I don't know that there was someone who could have turned this season around. I don't know if I was a big Jordan Montgomery advocate, and he's done pretty well for himself in Texas. I think that would have helped. I don't think that would have helped them contend as of right now. They needed a hitter, and there just weren't any hitters that changed hands at the deadline.
Wait, so you're saying nobody at the trade deadline would have blipped the radar? What if Aaron Judge or Carlos Correa happened to have been on this team? Would that have pushed them over? Because you didn't bring up anything about the lineup. You talked about their starting bullpen pieces all the time.
Yeah, no, they definitely needed another hitter or two or three or four. Look, Carlos Correa didn't have a great season for the Twins, but he would have been an improvement over Brandon Crawford. He would have been an improvement. Even the meager, 700 or whatever OPS he's got would have improved on what the Giants put out there from the shortstop position. Judge, listen, they still think that they had a shot. They really don't think that they were used as the stalking horse. They think that they had a good shot. They put a competitive offer down. I just, again, what the Giants have had to do is build through free agency, which is a terrible way to build a team. You cannot build through free agency. You have to, that's the cherry on top. You have to have that robust organizational strength. And then when you see someone, you can go, oh, okay, yeah, that's the perfect missing piece. To do what the Giants have done over the last several years, which is build a rotation entirely through free agency and getting Gossman and Alex Wood and Desclafani and having it work, that's bananas. And it's also unsustainable. What they need to do now is get those hitters, get Luis Matos, get Marco Luciano, get Tyro Estrada in the prime of his career and turn him into something that's a little bit more. Get that. And then you're not as worried about the, hey, we screwed up on Michael Conforto. Oh, man, this didn't work out. This didn't work out. So they need to do better there, but they also can't build a team through free agency. They do need a star, though. And I don't know when they're going to get one, whether internal or external, but it's clear that the fans are hungry for someone to kind of put in a pedestal.
So, Grant, which one is the real Giants? 2021, they beat out the Dodgers, won the division. And in the last 2 years, they've kind of fallen back to where you said was okay. So is Farhan on the hot seat? Was that a blip on the radar? Are we dare say Gabe Kapler's on the hot seat? Like, they have more coaches than any team. They have more resources, I believe, they throw everything into this, like analytics, platoon, whatever you want to call it. So is it Farhan possibly on the hot seat? Gabe Kapler on the hot seat? Like, who's to blame for 2021 being good and then 2022 and 23 being eh?
The owner of the Giants, Charles Johnson's kid, Greg Johnson, he's said publicly that the Giants they're committed to his idea. They're committed to Kapler for at least one more year. So I'm not sure about hot seat, but they're not on the hot seat. This season was incredibly dull. I would think it would be more Zaidi than Kapler, because Kapler, look, he's managing a team and he's doing platoons and he's doing these things that drives fans up the wall. Like, he's going to pinch hit Jock Peterson for JD Davis in the fifth inning and do all this hyper matchup stuff. But that's what he's given. That's the clay he's been told to mold. He's been given a flawed roster with a lot of pieces that only work if you use them in certain ways. And I think that the problem isn't necessarily how they're being used, but the pieces themselves. They've overlooked what these players aren't doing right to focus on what they are doing right. A lot of times it's the opposite problem with bad front offices or bad teams. You forget about what players do well, right? And you just ignore that part of it. The Giants kind of have the opposite problem. They'll have one tool player and the four tools just completely negate that one good tool. But the one good tool, hey, it works. And if you platoon and you do this, it works a little bit. That's anxiety more than it is Kapler, in my opinion.
And if Buster Posey were still around, is there still a Buster Posey lingering effect of him not being around? Because he came back in 21. They win. He gone. Like
Yachty.
I'm saying like Yachty, because we gave the Cardinals a really hard time for people not picking up the slack for losing Yachty or Molina. To me, I think it's a very similar situation because you're talking about a Hall of Fame catcher, and I think there is a lingering effect there, but you're there more often than I am.
No, listen, if there's one lesson from the shortened season in 2020, it's that you cannot underestimate or overestimate how important Buster Posey was to the Giants, because he opted out of the season a little bit on the later side to really prepare going forward. And they had Chadwick Trump and they had Tyler Heineman, both rookies, both kind of scraped up from the minor league free agent market. And it was a bad season defensively behind the plate. You don't have a field general. Obviously, they're not giving you the offense. And then he comes back and has close to an MVP kind of year in 2021. yes, last year it was a big deal that he was gone. It was, you could just feel it with every game he was gone, and you were missing his defense. You're missing his steadiness. This year's a little bit different insofar that if there's one thing that's going right for the Giants, it's Patrick Bailey. And Patrick Bailey specifically as a defender, specifically as that kind of field general, specifically for his pitch framing is otherworldly. He's leading in all sorts of defensive metrics, even though he didn't come up until the end of May. So yeah, Buster Posey, I'm not going to say that Patrick Bailey's already Buster Posey, but if there's one thing that's gone right for the Giants this year, it's that they found a catcher for the long term.
So Patrick Bailey is like 0 for, what is he, like 1 for like his last 60 or something? I don't know what the number is. I mean, it's listen, he's a young kid. He's never played this much. I get it. You know, defensively, he's off the charts good. But at some point, you know, you're comparing to Buster Posey. Buster Posey also hit 300 with a lot of big homers. So I get it. You know, but Joey Bart was supposed to be that guy. Joey Bart didn't work out. There's a whole slew of things, but we don't need to talk about that because that's whatever. But here's the thing. You said they need a star. Who the fuck do they go get? Are they going to sign Shohei? They're not going to sign Shohei, surely.
No.
Right? I mean, I know Pete Alonso's name's been rumored to get traded there possibly, but do they go make that? Is that big of an upgrade? I mean, I know he hits homers, but his average and all that is not that great. I mean, what can the Giants do? And if you say they're not willing to trade their prospects, who can they possibly sign to be that star? Because they're going to have to go out and trade for it. And you're saying they don't want to give it their prospects, so they're kind of stuck.
Yeah, it's a real tricky situation. I mean, Ohtani's not going to sign. Listen, I will write 732 articles talking about the possibility, and it's going to be really good for business. But they're not going to do it. So, who do they get? I just don't see who is out there. If you don't get Ohtani. It's like Michael Conforto is going to opt out this year because the free agent market is so thin. That's how dire it is. There is no plan B in free agency. I mean, if someone comes up, if Juan Soto comes up because the Padres are doing rebuild number 4.0, I don't think the Giants are adverse to trading prospects. I really, really don't. I think that they would trade. They were going to trade Marco Luciano for Sean Murphy in the offseason, but the A's said no. They preferred the Braves package. So they're not prospect hoarders. You know, they didn't trade him at the deadline because they didn't see the right fit. But they're not sitting there hugging their prospects too close. I just don't see who is out there. Pete Alonso, he pushes the envelope a little bit. And you're talking about a guy who you can sell and put on billboards and say, come watch this, big beefy slugger hit a ball 450 feet. That'll play. I don't know what the Mets would want in exchange for him. I don't know what his market price would be 1 year before free agency, but that would play. That's not a bad idea at all. I don't expect the Giants to get a star for star's sake. I really don't think that they're internally thinking the same way that the fans are thinking, or thinking like the writers are thinking. They're going to make the moves that make the 26-man roster better. They're going to be prudent about it, and they're going to just kind of do their thing as they've always done it.
So they're going to be a large market team running like a small market team. You have to explain. You have to explain to me why the Giants, because you're out there. Why would the Giants not be in on Shohei? What am I missing?
Oh, they're going to be in. It's more about Shohei. Trust. They're going to offer him. I mean, 9 figures. They might offer $1 billion. No. They're going to be. They're going to be in all the way. They're going to be one of the teams that is just begging him to come. It's up to Shohei, though. And he's a guy that surveyed 30 major league teams, sat down, thought about it, and said, Anaheim, Orange County, that's where I want to be. And no one expected that. Nobody expected that. But he's got his own ideas. He came over when his salary was going to be the major league minimum because I know if I waited a couple years, I'll be a multi-millionaire, but I want to do this now. He's his own cat, and maybe he's got a fascination with something to do with the Giants. The Giants have a very creative plan for their starting pitchers. Extra rest doesn't bother them. They've got openers. They've got bulk innings guys. They've shown that they can be very creative. Maybe that appeals to them, but you can't assume in the offseason that, we'll just go to Costco and pick up the 12 pack of Shohei Ohtani. You know, like you just don't go get guys like that. It's got to be a two-way street. And if you're looking at the Giants, there's reasons. Hey, the Giants are cool, playing a cool ballpark, whatever. You know that you'd have the area, the fan base wrapped around your finger. But what does he actually want? The dude's kind of an enigma. So I have no idea.
Can you imagine Gabe Kapler with Shohei Ohtani and all the crazy shit he could do? He'd be like, go play right. Now come pitch for 2 hitters. Now go to left. Now you're going to play first. You might catch an inning. Now you go back and pitch. Like, think about Gabe Kapler and how much fun he could have trying to fuck with the other team, putting him in all these different places.
Opening day, he's pinch hitting for himself. Like, just all of a sudden, like, Shohei, go up and pinch hit. But it's my spot in the order. It's like, well, get the platoon advantage. Turn it around, you know? Like,
Yeah. And Gabe would say it with a deep voice. He'd be like, yeah, Shohei, I've loved how his eccentric personality, and I've used his skin creams, and I think there's a lot of things that we could do with his environment that we bring with a lot of grounding, and he would like petting our puppy that we have in the dugout. Shohei loves dogs.
well, listen, the service dog, therapy dog in the dugout, that could work. That could work. That could bring at least a couple fans to the ballpark. That's merch right there. You're selling stuffies in the dugout store. Like, I don't know. You're onto something. You're hired. You're your coach now.
Hey, think how many pandas and giraffes they sold back when the Giants were rolling. But hey, Speaking of Gabe Kapler, did you see Gabe's shirt last night?
I did. Yes.
I mean, he couldn't take his eyes off it.
When he went out to the mound at one point, I mean, the sweat was glistening off of his skin-tight dry fit he had on. Only person that could pull that shirt off is Scott Braun. And Scott was mad that he wasn't able to wear that
I was
shirt.
just saying, I was like, what did he do wrong? He's just
nothing.
He's just living his life.
Listen, I played with Gabe. I love Gabe. But it's just such a Gabe Kapler. Most other managers have like oversized hoodies or their jersey, or Torey Lovell and Aaron Boone, do they have on hoodies because it's raining? Gabe would be out there in a short sleeve shirt like Scott Braun wears, super tight, showing off his 8-pack abs, walking to the mound, with his super cool glasses. I mean, Gabe is the perfect match for San Francisco.
And he's good for baseball, Grant, because he's a handsome man. He works out. What do you want him to do? Wear the baggiest shirt and pants out there?
No. My mother-in-law, she's kind of into Gabe Kapler. You know what I mean? Like, she's like, that Gabe Kapler. But here's the thing: if you had like opinion polls, like political polls, you had like approval ratings and whatnot. If you had those for managers, I bet you Gabe Kapler could bump up like 10 points in the San Francisco fan base if he would walk differently to the mound to get pitchers. Because when he's doing his thing to get a pitcher and he's chewing his gum and he points, I don't think he knows any other way. But if you're watching it, it's just kind of, as a fan, you're, what is your deal, buddy? Oh my gosh. Like, I've heard it from people on Twitter. It cracks me up, but he's one of one, man. He's got his own vibe.
He did not fit in Philly. Let's put it that way.
Listen, when you go to his office, I'm sure, Grant, you've been in his office before, and he's got the standing desk, right, with all the bikes on the wall, and he's like, let's go sit over here on the couch. It's calmer. Sit you over on the couch to talk to you. And he's got like all these Zen books out, and he's got like the shag carpet, and the lighting is a certain level. And he's like, so what do you guys want to talk about? And you're like, your team, Gabe? I don't know.
I don't know. I get a different vibe. I get a quiet, smoldering intensity. Like, I get.
No. He's definitely. But see, I played with him, so I have a little bit. I can kind of, like, when I see him, I'm like, Gabe, come on, dude. Like,
also, those manager meetings get loose sometimes, which is great. That's like my favorite part of the game, when you do the manager meetings and half the managers are like, by the way, this whole conversation is off the record. Like, you'll get that, AJ.
Yeah.
You'll go off, and you'll get the real good juice, but they'll be like, none of that makes the air, right? But
right.
I have one more for you. How bad do the Dodgers make the Giants look? Because that's the X factor here too. Is the Giants, like you said, they've been going through this rebuild, and you can do this in either Central Division and play catch up much quicker. The rebuild literally takes shorter in those divisions because most of the rest of the teams are not good. They don't spend much, right? Like Cleveland, I know they kind of went back down again this year, but last year it's like, wait, did this team even rebuild from that last run? They're already in the playoffs again. In the West, it's a completely different story. Arizona had to go through it for a while. I know the Padres weren't good this year per se, but they still put up a lot of talent. It's not a pushover team. And then the Dodgers are a lock for the playoffs every year.
Yes, it's a major problem because Giants fans are really insecure, always have been about the Dodgers. Even after the 3 titles in 5 years, you have to think about the mentality of a Giants fan where in the 60s, it was always Giants, Dodgers. Occasionally the Cardinals would sneak in there, but the Giants didn't win a World Series. The Dodgers did. You have the 70s where they've got this homegrown core on the infield and they're winning and they're doing all sorts of this impressive stuff. The Giants are playing on turf at Candlestick with Johnny LeMaster. And you have this kind of identity that you build up. The Dodgers win in the 80s. The Giants lose in the World Series in the 80s. The 90s, you're getting through. And it's this psychosis of Giants fans. The Dodgers matter. The Dodgers' success matters. Before the postseason run, before Barry Bonds, one of the most famous home runs in Giants history, San Francisco Giants history, was when Joe Morgan hit a home run on the final day of the season, not to get the Giants into the playoffs, but to knock the Dodgers out of the playoffs. That was one of the biggest home runs in franchise history to that point because it hosed the Dodgers, specifically out of Schadenfreude. Like, that's it. And so the Giants fans are weird about it, and the Dodgers are never going to be bad again. They're just good, and they're not good the same way every year. They have pitchers fall into a wheat thresher, and they're still good. They have all the legal issues, injuries, all this stuff. We'll just put a new rookie in. Wow, he's good now. Or the rookie stinks. Doesn't matter. We've scored 35 runs. They're good in a way that's hard to parse, and they're always good for a decade. 100 games good. Like on a bad year, this might be one of their worst years. And what are they going to win? Like 97 games, 98, 99? No, they might win 100 again. They're absurd. And so, yeah, that adds to the Giants fan psychosis because it's a bitter pill to swallow.
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, it is the most consistent franchise in the bigs over the past decade plus by far. So
yeah,
that's the rivalry. It's a tough big bro setting the standard right now.
Yeah. Definitely. Mm-hmm. I have one question. I'm not sure if we're letting you go yet, but I read an article.
Yeah, you can finish here.
I read an article. You wrote an article about taking your glove as an adult to the field. And I felt like the article was kind of wishy-washy, kind of on the fence, bad, on the fence, good. I need solidified answer right here because we don't play on both sides of the fence here. Say it with your chest. Can an adult bring a glove or mitt, if you only have a catcher's mitt, to the field for a big league baseball game?
Listen, out here in San Francisco, we follow the gospel of Kruk and Kipe. Mike Krukow, Dwayne Kuiper. They determine what is cool and what is not. They're the arbiters of hip. They say, yeah, that you have to bring your glove. That's how I grew up. I think it's okay. I brought a glove as an adult and caught a foul ball. And listen, that baby just made me glow for a year. And if I didn't have a mitt or didn't have a glove, I would have futzed it up. And so, I'm in. I don't care. Live your own life. Don't let other people tell you it's not cool. But also, I've been a dork for 45 years, so it's a little bit easier for me to swallow.
Dorks rule the world, by the way.
Yeah, look at me. I'm living in this palace.
I didn't say dorks were rich. I said dorks rule the world.
Fair enough.
We've got Bay Area superstar Rowdy Tellez joining us soon. We can ask him. I'm sure he'll be making fun of people bringing gloves to the game.
That's fine. I'll ask him. But
dude, just catch it with your bare hands.
Stop.
What do we need a glove for?
Stop. That's not true. Don't. Nobody's catching.
Why didn't you catch with your bare hands, AJ?
Yeah.
Well, because I wasn't 400 feet from home plate. There was guys I could have caught Mark Burley barehanded.
Someone clip that. Grant, thank you for coming on and messing around.
Wait, Grant. Okay, do you remember when Kratz played for the Giants?
Absolutely. I'm a Giants backup catcherologist. So I know Yamid Had and Eliezer Alfonso. I know them all.
Wow,
yeah, good name.
Also, the Athletics Power Rankings, which I think Grant sometimes is a part of, right? Don't you write some of those? Yep.
Yeah, I do the AL West and the NL West.
There you go, because I read that every week, and I know it gets a ton of clicks. And Nesbitt throws Kratz's name in there every once in a while, and it was in there a week or two ago. No big deal.
Whoops. Mike Trout, Ken Griffey Jr., Mickey Mantle. Erik Kratz.
It's real. That's not even a joke. It's in there for our fan base. We talked about it a little bit on Friday. Grant, thanks for doing everything that you do and joining us. And you can read his articles in The Athletic. We'll post his Twitter on our Twitter, and also does a great job each week with the roundtable heads on his pod. Grant, good to talk to you, man.
You got it. Thanks for having me on.
Cheers. Appreciate you. Whew, that was good. I feel like we needed to do a proper burial for the Giants.
I'm glad we waited.
Yeah.
It
was worth it, right?
I thought about just playing the trumpet the whole time we had but I didn't want to step on whoever made the graphic for us, so I didn't play the trumpet.
No, and the graphic is pristine.
Yes.
I just love that the fans are mad. Like this team wasn't supposed to be good coming into this year.
But they should still be mad. I mean, this team makes a ton of money. They need to start competing again.
But they've tried. One thing I will say is they've tried. They tried to sign Judge. They tried to sign Correa.
Yes.
They're trying. Just for some reason, nobody wants to go there really, unless it's on a short-term deal, and they have to overpay to get them. I mean, Carlos Rodon would have been the perfect guy to keep, and he left right for the Yankees. It's like, what do they have to do? But if you look back on their teams that won, though. I mean, a lot of those guys were Kane, Lincecum, Posey. Those guys were homegrown guys that came up through the system. And then, like he said, they sprinkled in the veteran free agents and the other guys. So I don't know. I think Farhan and Gabe have a long way to go. But at some point, they're going to have to spend some money and bring in a big name free agent or a big name trade.
This is perfect timing to talk about Shady Rays because you don't have to do this.
You don't have to wear your You don't have to wear your Shady Rays in San Francisco very often either, because it's always damn 20 degrees.
And that's part of the problem is, like, if you're a free agent and you're looking at San Francisco or Texas, you're going to make 15 to 20% more on your contract in Texas. The weather is temperature controlled. Like, I'm just making a comparison of two contending ball clubs that could compete for, say, Shohei Ohtani, right? I've got a temperature controlled ballpark. Okay, there's step two. You can ball out if you get a big contract no matter what, but you can really ball out cost of living at most other spots. Your team as San Francisco now, besides that 1 year, has not been good consistently for a while. You are going to have to do a little bit more of this. I was half joking. If Aaron Judge got $450 million versus his $360 for the Yanks,
or the 400 that they supposedly offered.
Well, that was San Diego, right? Did San Francisco offer 400 too?
I thought San Francisco offered that.
More money. Just give out more money.
Like, that's what the Blue Jays had to do forever. The Blue Jays.
Tigers.
Who? Tigers?
Tigers had to do it too to get.
More money.
Remember in the window, like the mid 2010s, when they had Prince and they had all those guys. Yep. The first guy was Pudge Rodriguez. They had to overpay to get him there, and then they had to overpay for Maglio and a bunch of guys to get it rolling, and then they brought in Verlander and some other guys through their farm system. But in order to get a guy, the first guy, you have to overpay to make him want to come there.
Yep. Nationals, Jason Worth. The Blue Jays had to do, I think the Blue Jays are siphoning Canadian dollars and stuff like that based on their payroll, but that's another story. But sometimes you just have to pay. You have to overpay for players. Mm-hmm. And that's okay. Like, nobody thought Jason Worth got offered, I think, $77 million from the Phillies. And the Nats offered him $127 million. That is way more than offering Judge $50 more million than what the next team.
Yep, it's a good call.
Percentage-wise, it's way more.
Yep. Our dude's ready, but want to remind everyone, Shady Rays, while these guys are really in the mode talking money, you do not have to spend big to pick up a pair of durable frames like what AJ has, who's always serious. Independent.
Have you found my lost ones yet?
World-class product. No, they're coming in the mail for you. That's part of the lost and broken replacements. And also, for the FT fam, shadyrays.com. Foul is the code. Still running for you. 50% off 2+ pairs of polarized sunglasses. Try for yourself. The shades rated 5 stars by over 250,000 people. We're ready for our guy.
AJ just looking around with his glasses on. He goes, "Hey, have you found my lost ones yet?"
Well, that's on Scott because I'm using Scott's now.
That's fine. I'm friendly, although I'll be back there tomorrow.
Why is Rowdy here?
Well, I'd like to formally introduce America's pitcher. Joins us right now on FT Live. Rowdy Tellez.
He played for Mexico, though. He played for Mexico.
Mexico's pitcher.
The Mexican missile. Not the Cuban missile, the Mexican missile.
Dude, are you going to be cocky as hell for the next 15 minutes because of what you just performed a few days ago?
No, but I know y'all were talking about paying Shohei, so we're just going to have to throw my name in the mix now.
Well, they've got to overpay for you too. Once you hit free agency, guys are going to have to overpay for you. Teams are going to have to overpay for you. That's just what it is. But especially because now you're a two-way star.
Superstar.
Two-way superstar.
Two-way superstar.
Yeah.
Like,
And let's not forget, forever, when they say the 2023 division champion, Milwaukee Brewers, it's going to be a picture of Rowdy throwing the last pitch. Not Burns or Williams or Woodruff or anybody like that. It's going to be Rowdy.
Closing it out. I told you, if you needed someone to lock it down in a high leverage situation, you call the big fella in.
Mm-hmm.
Did you think about ripping your shirt off to be forever memorialized as the man who closed it out?
No, I don't. I think that's a little disrespectful at that point. I kind of, if you see me celebrate the strikeout, I kind of was like, oh shit, we're up by a couple touchdowns, and I was like, that's not good. I kind of like did it, and I was like, yeah, oh wait,
yeah. Do you feel like if you're in a heated arbitration battle in the off season, this could be your secret weapon? Yeah, we'll give you the clip so you could like show it on your phone and say, oh, well, hold up. You might think you have the edge right now in this ARB hearing, but I do have one more card left up my sleeve.
No, yeah, I already told her after the game. I told our GM, I was like, hey man, paycheck just went up a couple pesos, buddy. We're talking big dollars now. And he kind of looked at me, and I was like, dude, I'm being dead serious. Like I'm taking this with me. It helps out my WAR. Not that my WAR was good at all this year, but
yeah, but overall that matters.
Yeah,
it's all about putting in the work for the team.
Did either of you guys ever pitch in the big leagues?
Stop. Hey,
I was good. They didn't ask good players to pitch.
No, they don't ask. They asked the 26th man on the roster. So I'm not saying that's where you're at right now, Rowdy. But I had a lot of outings, and I'm telling you, they weren't asking you to pitch last year when you had 30 pumps. Okay, guy.
Yeah, it was a serious question. It wasn't me being sarcastic.
Okay, well, this is me being serious then. You're still 2 behind me on career punch-outs, okay? Oh,
yeah,
that was
wow. You kind of reared back for those.
That was a changeup, dog. Absolute split. See ya. Didn't even see it. That's an all-star Brandon Belt. Only year he's an all-star. I struck him out. And I got him to sign that ball. Did you get De La Cruz to sign that ball? Or Sanchez, whoever hit that, struck out?
No, I was gonna send him a little gift certificate to the local batting cage, but I felt like that would cross the line too.
I'm just mad. Hey, I'm mad at Rowdy because I tweeted at him after his performance and he didn't respond. One, and then man, I even threw in a zinger in there. I can't even imagine, dude. That 57-mile-an-hour slot ball. You thought I would hit that thing so far in Miami? I would have hit off the damn third deck up there in right field at 57 mile an hour. Get that junk out of here. At least Kratz was like 85.
I don't have social media.
I was gonna say he's not on Twitter. Where did you
I don't know. There was an at Rowdy Tellez, so there's somebody's got it.
I mean,
some dude got tweeted.
My agents, they're just like random, like they're saved. I think my agents have them, but yeah, I don't use social media, but I don't think you would have.
See,
I really
look.
don't. Which one is it?
No, I didn't even make the cut on my own show. It's amazing.
Look at MLB Mexico.
You're not that good.
Look at MLB Mexico tweeting at you.
Yeah, dude, it's because I'm in
En la
Spanish, too.
Lomita? Do you even know what En la Lomita means?
No, the.
The Bonita.
That was pretty. No, it was pretty cool because I thought I was going to go in for Santana, and then Council's like, "No, dude, we need to bring the big guns in," and I was like, "All right, I'm ready." But you guys have played in Miami. I ran up and down those stairs, and I was exhausted coming back.
That's how you got loose.
When did you learn this was going to happen? And had you talked about this at some point during the season to say, hey, Skip, I'm ready?
Well, in spring training, Murph, I was taking early work ground balls, and Murph was like at second base trying to catch him. And I was like, Murph, dude, they move a lot. And he was like, no, they don't. I was like, no, dude, I don't know how to throw a straight baseball. They're either going to cut or they're going to sink really bad. And the first one I threw, like, I thought I was going to blow out his quad, but he caught it. And I was like, dude, no way. And he was like, yeah, I was an athlete once too. And I was like, dude, this is some real stuff. You get me on the bump, it's going to move. And so, like, for a while I was advocating it in blowouts, but we had Brasso throw in, and then this year towards the end he was like, "Hey, you might actually get the pitch on one of these." So then I was like, "No way, it's not going to happen." And then, like you said, 26 man, and I was like, "Hey," he was like, "Hey, you're going to pitch." This is in the 7th. He's like, "You're going to pitch the 9th." I ran up and grabbed Wade's glove and I sat on the bench, locked in. Like I wanted all of it. I was prepared.
Nobody talked to you, Status?
Nope. I did. Bullpen one of our pitching coaches came over and I was like, "Hey man, I'm locked in. Leave me alone."
Did you think about did you think about running out to the bullpen to warm up and then having to run back in, or did your fingers start to twitch, getting afraid you would get it stuck in the fence going into the bullpen?
So that joke was made too, so don't think you're original. I did ask if I could go out to the bullpen, and Murph was like, "Do whatever you want, I don't care." And then I thought, like, more the integrity of the game. I was like, "Dude, it looked pretty bad when you're up that much, like running out of the bullpen." And then one of our players was like, "Hey, you can't go anywhere near the outfield grass or the fences, nowhere near him." And I was like,
"Was it Burns?"
Maybe I'll just come out. I'll come out of the dugout.
Was it Burns?
No, it was not Burns. He's not that funny.
He's pretty funny, and he definitely has a plethora of Rowdy Tellez jokes.
He likes it, but he's really quiet in the clubhouse. I actually talked to him about this the other day on the bus. I was like, "Hey, how come everybody thinks you're like quiet and kind of like mean?" And he was like, "I don't know." And I'm like, "But you talk to me. Everybody comes up to me and they're like, 'Hey, does Burns talk?' I'm like, 'Yeah, he talks to me every day.'" So that's just easy person to talk to, you know. But Burns, he sometimes is scared. He was the last person to introduce himself to me when I got traded over. Like, it was like 4 days later.
Because he wasn't playing the other 4 days.
Did you go over
once a week?
Did he go over scouting reports before he went into the game? Did you have the iPad out? Were you like watching video to hit it?
I threw in the cage. Like I got up there, I ran up into the cage and I threw. Come and set, sliders, change-ups. So I got down there and I was like, "Hey," you know, I was like, "Can I throw fastballs? How hard can I throw?" And Counts was like, "You're just gonna throw like pitches. Just try and throw them down the middle, get outs, get over this." And I said, "Well, let me throw like cutters and sliders and curveballs." And he goes, "No." I said, "Can I rear back for one?" He goes, "No." So I semi-reared back for one and got 71. And I was like, "You know what? That's a lot. That's fast. That's a hard pitch." And I almost blew it by him. He fouled it off. But it was pretty cool, the pitch. I got the ball and everything. They made a big deal. They let me spin the wheel after the game for pitcher of the game. So I'm the only guy this year to do that, to spin as a hitter and as a pitcher.
So what is that? Take us through the spinning the wheel.
It's just like a little celebration thing. Like player of the game gets it. Pitcher, you get a pitcher of the game, you get a hitter of the game. Then they do rock, paper, scissors for it, and whoever wins that gets a spin. You can get a free pair of shoes. We had a signed basketball on there. We had like dinner at Carnivore. We have a bunch of things like that, like that you win as a player, and then get to have whatever it is. Like one is we have our strength coach has a big beard, like a huge one, and it was shave his beard for the playoffs, and somebody landed on it like a week ago, so he's got to shave his beard.
Come on, he's seriously going to shave it?
Yeah.
Kratz would have played so much better if there was a spin the wheel.
No doubt.
Yeah.
Like if there's a spin the wheel, like I love playing spin the wheel games just here at the house.
We have a jackpot too. Like it's $100. We've hit it like 2 or 3 times this year. Yelich was the first person to hit it, so
shocker. Rich get richer.
Yeah, I didn't pay him. But it's $2,600. It is. You know, everybody puts in $100, and then there's like other ones where everybody owes you $20, or we have one that Murph pays the player $20 he hasn't paid yet.
Come on.
Yeah, he won't pay anybody.
You have to pay. You have to pay your $100, and you can't talk about Murph not paying his $20. You got to pay.
I didn't pay it to Yelly. I paid it to the rest of the people.
Yelly's a person. Yelly's got future kids. It doesn't matter. Doesn't matter.
He's a different tax bracket person. So
yeah, he is.
Oh, so you were saving him money because you give him $100 and he'd have to pay 40 of it to taxes?
Probably.
Yeah, well, as I wasn't there for, but as Ryan Braun would say, he'd say 100 is change. So Yelly said, "I don't take change."
That is definitely Brawny's. That is definitely Yelly can't make he can't take Brawny's quotes. But who carries this wheel around? Who carries the wheel of what do you call it? Player of the game wheel?
Yeah, I don't know what we call it, but a rookie. It depends on who has the least amount of service time at that time. Kind of gets passed down, passed around. But it's been cool. We needed something to start at the beginning of the year, and that's what we did.
That's awesome.
Rowdy, how's Josh Donaldson?
He's been good. Everybody knows that JD can be a little over the top.
That's why I asked.
No, he's been good. He has been. Not a very good cribbage player, I'll tell you that. He likes to play. He likes to gamble, so I'm all in on him. But he's been good. He's been a good spark plug. He's been helping us out as young players too, like keeping guys like ready, understanding. He's a pro. He's been doing it for a long time. He's an MVP. So you just kind of watch him what he does, and he's been nothing like what you expected, and what I've seen from the young JD.
What is this celebration going to look like when hopefully you guys clinch it tomorrow?
I'm going to be running around in just sliders and goggles.
Prove it.
Doing the truffle shuffle.
Prove it.
With champagne.
A lot of champagne?
Yeah.
You seem like more of a Budweiser guy.
Relax, Bud Light. You scream it. No, I don't drink. We've been over this.
You don't drink?
I don't drink. I eat my sorrows away.
Since when? Because you were talking about tequila and WBC, yeah.
Yeah, season. I don't drink during the season. That was spring training.
It's not the season. You guys are clinching. The rest of the games don't matter. You're going to get a ton of playing time the rest of the games.
That's true. That is true.
Yeah, you're right.
So
you're right. I probably will. I'll probably play a lot more.
Who are you most excited to celebrate with? I think whenever you win, whenever you clinch a postseason berth, I feel like there's guys that you look at. We watched the Twins celebration, and it was Maeda and Dallas Keuchel. You just see those guys celebrate a little bit more. You're like, they went through some stuff. Who are you most excited to celebrate with this year?
I feel like Wade would be fun. Wade's been around the game for a long time. He's a good dude. I think Wade would be a good one to celebrate with. I really feel like Contreras can really get after it. He's kind of like, we call him Wild Bill. So just a dark horse. You never know what you're going to get from him. We had Joey Wiemer. We optioned him, but he might be back today since their minor league season ended, and that guy is crazy. So I want to see him partying it up in the clubhouse after and watch what that guy does. So
one time when we clinched with the Yankees, Tommy Kahnle, we were in Toronto and they had plastic all over the clubhouse floor, and so it catches all the beer. Tommy Kahnle was doing slip and slide through the beer. Who on your team do you think will be the most likely to do a slip and slide through the beer on the plastic floor?
Wiemer.
And if he's not up there,
he's not up. I can see Frelick doing it. Sal will do it.
Frelick, you did not hesitate. Yeah. Like, who's doing something crazy? Wiemer.
You
know what's funny though? I've heard him at least twice on post-game interviews, and he barely said anything. I was like, dude, you got more in you. Is that just a rookie status thing where he's not gonna kind of lay it all out in front of the camera yet?
Yeah, he's just also not all there. He's a little, like when Ricky Bobby puts his hands up in front of his face when he does his interview. That's Wiemer. He's just a little shy of all there. But he's like the tool in the shed that you just kind of look at and you're like, I guess that'll work. That'll do. We can make it work.
Hey, Rowdy, I celebrated with Contreras one time, 2016 Gulf Coast League champions. He was about 17 years old, so, man, that dude can drink some sparkling grape juice like nobody's business.
Yeah, I wouldn't. He's a little bit older now, so I hope it's not sparkling grape juice, but I'm glad you clinched somewhere.
Hey now. I got the big one. You don't have that yet. You don't have the right.
I was just saying, I'm glad you clinched somewhere. Didn't say
He was
it.
just building you up. Yeah. Don't
What are you
don't
doing
take
in the Gulf
offense to that.
Coast League? Were you rehabbing?
Yeah, we're allowed.
I mean, I was on the fake IL, so
He
they
was on the
Oh, that was the Phantom days.
so they
Yeah.
threw me down to Orlando where they were, and they're like, "Yeah, go live at home for 2 weeks." Oh yeah, go play 2 games. It just so happened the 2 games I played in were the Gulf Coast League something championship, and we won, and we got to and there. And I went to the clubhouse guy. I go, "We celebrating this thing?" And he goes, "Well, these kids are all 17 years old." I go, "Well, let's get some grape juice or something." So we went and bought bottles of sparkling grape juice, and we sprayed it all over the field.
Yeah, I assume you didn't pay for that. That was just too much for you.
No, actually,
So
I did.
Probably
But
made
thanks.
them go do it.
My name.
You strike me as a guy that buys Outback for spread.
No.
I would just.
Yeah.
I would.
I only bought 2 spreads in my life. One was Joe's Crab because I was in Norfolk, and the other one was Cracker Barrel. The 2 I've ever bought. Because I didn't get hurt.
Yeah, I've only been on 2 rehab assignments too. It's cool. You might have played for a tad longer, but you know what, dude? You can have your flowers. You can. There you go. You played for like 16 years, whatever it was. It was
19.
Easier. It was
19.
easier back then. But yeah. Good for
Hey, but you know what? I'm proud of you because I never pitched.
Yeah. I mean, some of us are heroes, and you look up to me. It's fine. You can just say it out loud.
I do. You're my hero. You know that song? There goes my hero. That's you.
Thanks, dude. You know what? That means a lot for me. Maybe I'll ask you to sign something so I can put it on my wall.
Yeah. You're gonna have to pay
Yeah, I
me.
do. No, I only have Hall of Famers on the wall.
Or
It's
wait in
cool. Don't
line.
worry about it.
Or wait in line.
There's no line for you.
Hey, Rowdy, is Freddie P okay? I heard he was sick the other day. So if you guys are celebrating, are you guys gonna like make him sit in the corner or go in his own room or something? Is he ill, and is the clubhouse okay? We don't need any like late clubhouse illnesses to sweep through Milwaukee.
COVID's over. He doesn't have to be Turner and not celebrate with his team when they win the World Series.
True.
He can. I'm just not going to share a bottle of champagne with him or a beer bong or a keg stand. None of those. I'm not going to be doing that after him. But yeah, he's feeling a little bit better. We had like a little thing sweep through, but he's doing good. You know, the Miami flu. It's tough when you're staying in that Ritz.
Tough living. Hey, Rowdy, have you ever played Immaculate Grid? Have we talked about this?
I was on it for a split second when we were in playing the Mets because I had it on paper, and I didn't really know that this was a thing. I thought it was a Mets only, and then after those 4 days, I just never did it again.
Wait, they had the Immaculate Grid on paper?
Yeah, the Mets would print it off.
And
For
then
the
you
visitors?
would write it in? Then you would write it
that's
in and you didn't get your percentage or anything?
Yeah, so I didn't know that was a thing. Like, I didn't know there was a percentage. So, like, I was putting in, like, the most – then I was doing it. I was like, dude, this is easy. Like, if you're a baseball mind, you can figure this out. I was like, this is easy.
You thought it was like
And
a
then
cross – they printed it out like a crossword. You didn't know there was
Yes.
numbers attached to it.
There was Sudoku, then there was crossword, then there was Immaculate Grid. And it was
So
like –
Mets put that in the visiting clubhouse?
yeah.
heard of
And I was like, oh, dude, this is crazy. Like, reading it all, I'm like, oh, I could figure all these out. Like, God. But then the sad part was there was guys on our team, and it's the younger generation of baseball.
Yep.
Didn't know who players were. Like, couldn't figure out who played for each team. Couldn't, like, and I was like, you guys are brutal. Or, like, who had 40-plus homers for a team. And I was like, come on, guys. We got it.
Like they never watched baseball.
Also, they're handing out paper
Yeah.
to
people on
Gen
their
Zers?
phones. Yeah.
Yeah.
They
also look at
probably
a pen
touch
and-
it. They're like, what
pen
is
and paper.
this? What is
Yeah,
this?
they
Is
look
this
at it and they're like, dude, never seen this.
right? They're probably like, is this
They're
what I put
expanding
my cup on? Like,
Yeah.
to protect the table?
Is this
a
a
table
cup?
mat?
Is this what I put my Stanley on?
Yeah. Me and JD were playing cribbage in Miami, and Sophia, our on-field reporter, she came up and she was like, oh, JD, did you learn how to play cribbage while you were playing, or like Rowdy, like through when he was younger in family? And he was like, oh, we didn't have phones back when I came up. You know, that wasn't really a thing. And so you had to learn how to play cards, and you played in the clubhouse. And I was like, that's a good point. You ask a lot of these guys that do stuff, or you look at them, it's straight to the phone.
What? Text me
Yeah.
about it, Rowdy. What's the one piece of trash talk that you put on your first piece of trash talk that you put on JD when you saw him, or when you felt comfortable that he wasn't going to beat you up?
I wasn't scared of him to start with.
You're a little scared of him.
I absolutely was not. He walked in the clubhouse. He walked in the clubhouse and walked straight by, and I was like, "Hey," with a couple other words after that. I was like, "When you walk in the clubhouse, you introduce yourself to your new teammates," and he goes, "Everybody knows who I am." And then Joey all
That's
right,
good.
and then I was like, "Yeah, hey." And then when you see a former teammate, you say what's up, and he was like, "Hey, are you on the seafood diet?" And I was like, "Yeah, good one. Seafood, eat food. Beat you to it. Fuck off." So that's how we started, and it's been perfectly fine.
Do you think he has a chip on his shoulder because of coming from the Yankees, and the Yankees are not going to be in the playoffs, and obviously he didn't play his best at times there, but now he gets to be in the playoffs and maybe be a hero?
I think that would be a chip for anybody. I definitely hope it is. I mean, he's a really good player, former MVP. So, like, if you can have any kind of advantage mentally, that would be huge. And he is playing good baseball for us. He really is. He's having big at bats, good at bats. He's great in the clubhouse for everybody. So it's a really good guy to have in the clubhouse, especially when you have another veteran hitter in there, with Mark and Santana and these guys that are playing really good ball after we acquired them. So it's nice to have stuff like that going on.
All right, Rowdy, ready? You want to play Gritty with us before you go? Okay.
Let's see.
Let's run it. So we post these on TikTok, and I've been told that our TikTok fan base is sick of us just playing, so now we're bringing the players in to help us out. So we
That's
bring
messed
in
up. TikTok?
Mexico's pitcher, Rowdy Tellez, to help us out.
The
They're
Mexican
sick of
missile.
us. Yeah, they saw your video too long ago. Your old news. Blue Jays at the top, 30-plus stolen base season, Gold Glove. Left column, Angels, White Sox, and Dodgers. We do allow our FT fam to play along, but the way we do this with players, like we did this last week with Joe Ryan, is, Rowdy, you have first say. If there's anybody you want to throw out there, we will try and deflect any wrong answers that you throw our way. Not that we are the baseball dictionary.
Not great.
Is there anything that stands out to you? And we can start the clock right now so that we can get Rowdy out of here. Is there anything that stands out to you that you would like to throw on the board?
I mean, I can kind of go Blue Jays and Angels. We can do Devon White.
Nice.
Devo. I know.
10%.
10%.
Higher than I thought.
My mind went to Brandon Drury, but it might be too soon. Too active.
Oh, yeah, you could have done that one. 30 stolen bases. I don't know.
Not AJ for the White Sox.
Yeah, we weren't worried about that. nor Gold Glove, so it doesn't matter. We can do Mark Trout. We'll just put Mark Trout there.
That's a little too high for numbers. We have it. We want to get the low numbers.
Is that what that is? Is that a percentage? Does that take 10%?
10% for Devo.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I get it.
How about the Dodgers? 30 stolen bases? Juan Pierre.
Dude, that's what I was going to do for the White Sox.
Did he have 30 for the White Sox?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
All right, well, you guys decide. Pick one.
Yeah.
We got to
go for it. No, Rowdy said it. I like that.
Which one? Dodgers or let's do White Sox.
He said White Sox. Yeah, I like that. Get the AJ. We need the most random.
11%.
11. Wow,
that's high.
It's recent. There's not been a lot for the White Sox.
It's not that recent.
What about Gold Glove?
12 years ago.
What about Gold Glove for the Angels? Gary Pettis. Did he have any? I think he had 3 or 4.
Whoa. Did he really? I think that's a good one.
That would be a great pull. I can't
so.
fact check you on that one.
Yeah, GP definitely did because he was talking about it.
I know he had.
Nice.
Yeah.
2%.
Rowdy, you're a beast. You're a beast. We need AJ to come up with a super random White Sox. Like, did BA win a Gold Glove? Like,
no, I was going to say people forget Jake Peavy won one or Ozzie Guillen won one. But I'd say Jake Peavy because people forget.
Peavy.
Okay. I like that. Pitcher, Gold Glove, that's minus points. 2%.
Nice.
Peavy with a pimple on his face. Jeez, get a newer picture. Not when he was going through puberty.
Rowdy, you got any more for us? You got any Dodger stuff?
Dodgers. Well, I kind of grew up a Giants fan, diehard, but I always really liked watching Adrian Gonzalez play. So I know he won a Gold Glove. He was always one of those guys that I thought was kind of like an idol of mine growing up.
What about? Hey, did Burnsy play for the? Yeah, go ahead. That's fine.
3%.
That's a good one. Did Burnsy play for the Blue Jays in the big leagues? Because I know he played. Remember Burns? You guys came up together with the Jays. Didn't he play for the Dodgers too? Super random minor league guy. Oh, freaking A. What is his first name? He went over to Korea. Right-handed hitter.
Left.
Corbin Burns?
No.
Eric Burns?
Come on, Rowdy is your teammate.
Did Grudslanik play for them?
No. Oh, Andy Burns.
Andy Burns. Did he get to the big leagues with the Blue Jays, or did he not get to the big leagues with the Blue Jays?
No, he did. He did. Good one, dude.
He did?
That is such a rando.
Yeah, he texts me from time to time. I always blow him off.
Let's do it.
Andy Burns, or I don't know. It might be Andrew. I don't know. Yeah.
No, it's Andy.
Oh, that's so epic! I love that life.
Damn, right there.
That's good.
I didn't know he made the big leagues with the Blue Jays, though. I knew he was a Blue Jay prospect. Minute 17 seconds, Rowdy. We got to hustle.
3 left. Let's go.
Did Rafael Furcal steal 30 bases with the Dodgers?
Probably.
We're at the point where we need to try.
I mean, there's a million guys for the Dodgers you could throw in there, but try it.
We're trying to do low percentage, so I was thinking.
All right,
good
3%.
one.
Yeah,
2 left.
So good.
1 minute, 2 left.
Jason Grilli, White Sox, Blue Jays.
Okay.
Yeah, you could do that. He was an awesome guy. He took me out to eat and to the bar and stuff when I was like 20 when we were in Montreal.
Yeah, well now he's arrested, so we need one more. You can't get you can't get Cheese arrested. 36 seconds.
We were in Canada.
Oh, never mind then. Not arrested.
Not
legal.
Arrested. Yep, legal. That's a good call.
Angels,
30 plus stolen bases. Angels.
30 plus.
I have one. If no one else
I
does.
want to say Darren Erstad, but I don't feel like that's right.
I was gonna say Sean Figgins, but is
Sean
that
Figgins.
too common?
No,
Oh,
I like
Choney.
Figgins.
That's Choney Figgins.
Choney.
How much was he? 24%. Oof.
Wow.
Popular.
Trout was more.
Trout was more?
Trout would have been more percentage. No, I don't know.
50% probably for Trout.
So how does that work? What do you get like a thing at the end to show you like if it's
Yeah, we got
Oh right, I forgot you only played on paper.
You can get
we got a score. It was 59. What was that?
56. And then
So
it
what do you
ranks
want-
you. Then it ranks you from the day.
Is it lower or higher better? Lower?
Lower.
Lower.
I had
The
a
Andy
3
Burns
one
one
day.
was good.
Man.
Grilly was solid. Burns was ridiculous.
Adrian Gonzalez was a great pull. Peavy was a great
Figgins
pull.
crushed us. That's my
Pettis.
bad. All
It's
right,
okay.
Rowdy, we'll let you off the hook, dude. That's a good way to
Sweet.
finish things off. You did it.
AJ, I'm glad I went easy on you today. I know you're probably in your fields nowadays, getting older and stuff. So, but I just want you to know, man, I'm always proud of you. I'm happy for you.
Thanks, Rowdy. Just don't ever forget how deep I would have taken you if you'd have thrown your slop up there to me.
It's fine. It's what you were used to.
It's my bat speed. That's my bat speed.
That's the era
I
he
wish I
played
could
in.
do
Is
that
that what you're
every
saying?
day. That'd be good.
AJ played when guys were just throwing cutters and sinkers. Is that what you're saying?
I mean, 88
Yeah.
sinker slider, every guy. I mean, what do you want?
Yeah,
Down and
that's
away.
it.
Shoot him to left.
Yeah.
Wasn't Rowdy the one who
With
said Babe Ruth
steroids.
through dumpy cutters?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He said Babe Ruth through dumpy cutters.
He did, and then he crushed a couple dogs, threw down some brews, and called it a day.
And he was the best player ever for a long time.
AJ was
Little
facing
meatly.
guys that were garbage men in the offseason.
Have fun on that division crown. We'll
Yep.
talk to you after that. dude.
Enjoy your Cy Young Award.
Thanks, man. At least I got a vote for one. That's all I'm happy about. I get a vote for something nowadays.
Cheers. Really good shit. Rowdy Tellez, everyone. All right, let's finish strong here. We're going to hit AMP. That was a fun day. See, Gritty is way better when we bring
Oh, for sure.
a player to the party.
Except there's some players who are like, what's the gritty? What's the grid?
What's paper?
Yeah, I can't believe they printed out. Man, Mets Clubhouse,
I
pistachio
have
muffins
some friends
and
with the Mets that I need to text.
pistachio
show.
muffins and the printed out gritty. Just doesn't hit quite the same.
It's 1985 in Queens. Okay, let's slap. Okay, let's hit AMP. Follow us on AMP and speak to us. I actually was going back and forth with one of our loyal FT fans, Black Onyx, and I was like, call in, because he was like, you guys didn't give AL East talk enough love. And you're right, we did not talk enough about them. We did a little bit of Blue Jays, but we didn't really hit on Orioles, Rays, although division's over. Sorry, Locaine. But I was like, call in, and he was like, it's 4:24 in Sydney and my girl is sleeping. So fair. It's not you. But who is it on the line right now for AMP? Your name, your favorite team, and what's your question or comment for us?
Hi, my name is Jamie, a Yankee fan, and I'm from Jersey. My question is, which of the playoffs team do you want to currently be on the roster of, whether it be, the fringe wild card team or, actually a division leader?
Playoff team that I'd want to be on the roster for? I love the Orioles. I just don't see how a team that doesn't get swept can't figure out a way to win it, and they just look like they're having fun. I love it. I mean, I couldn't pick the Brewers or the Phillies because AJ would be like, "Oh, Homer," and so I think the Royals. I think the Orioles would be just. I don't know, man. Like, I think they're legit.
I'm going to agree with that. Not that you asked, Jamie, but thank you for the question to me, because I would want to be teammates with Kratz, and also I would want to be ripping shots in the beer bong with John Angelos and be like, guys, he's not that bad. AJ, what about you?
Dude, I'm going Braves because they got Sean Murphy and Travis d'Arnaud, and I never have to play. I could just sit back and be the third catcher and be like, "Oh, you boys got it. Go get them."
You and your anal fissures in Orlando. Right. You could just stay down there. You wouldn't.
No, I don't want to be there. I'd be on the bench. I'd be like, the third catcher guy.
So exactly my career.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
you want to be me. I never knew you wanted to be me, AJ. Wow, this really makes this is
between
great.
you and Rowdy Kratz, man. It's been tough on me today.
AJ's just getting by right now. Well, Kratz hats, what do you got?
Got the EMU Royals, EMU Eastern Mennonite University, the EMU Royals. Pretty sick little one year cap that was rocked there. I always love these college hats too.
Can we get Scott to put that on his head so we can see how big that thing is? Because it looks ginormous when you're holding it.
Good.
I don't know. I don't want to touch it.
You can crown me. It's fine.
It looks like one of those fathead hats.
It looks like, where like those movies, they control your brain. They're like, we got him.
No, those hats that are like
the big hats. The one the Braves
hats.
had. The one the Braves had. They said no.
That they said
Thank
no.
you, Brian Robinson. Thank you.
Wait. I can take it on and off without messing up his hair at all.
Nothing's changed, and that's rare because usually it destroys my hair. So
that was
unbelievable. Awesome. Also, quick reminder: if you want to be like Jamie and call in, you can join AMP for free and follow at Foul Territory. And then when you get to the end of the show, if you are luckily selected, we will bring you on to ask questions.
Call in.
We also like to give things away. So we have a giveaway winner to end our day. The Teaser giveaway winner is Brent Wales, who looks like Rowdy Tellez. Rowdy's burner account? No, congratulations, Brent.
Wales Diesel.
Wales Diesel. That's actually a strong name.
That dude's beef.
He
is beefy.
He's bringing it.
No doubt.
His hat fits on your head and vice versa.
Everybody's hat. That's where they stand
that's
when
a size
it rains.
8 right there. No, but seriously, Brent, that's awesome, dude. Congratulations. He's got the dugout mugs with all the Roger Clemens signatures on him. He's got the Teaser action, not Kratz's.
No, he doesn't have my Teaser. This is mine. This is got one more in. I got to finish it up. But
I got one for you.
The dugout mugs, I realized that me and Roger Clemens played on all the same teams. So I wonder if Dugout Mugs wants me to sign and have a giveaway too. I don't know.
I do
They
know.
don't think so, AJ?
No.
I'm thinking maybe not.
Maybe not.
Yeah,
I'm going to go with no, definitely not.
I'm going maybe.
Okay,
I gave you a maybe.
So you're saying there's a chance.
If you like what you're watching and listening to, we actually do this every single weekday. So we will see you on Tuesday, people, for more FT Live during.
Wait, Scott, are you ever coming back to Orlando?
That's
see
so
you on
nice.
Tuesday in Florida. Thanks,
You're coming
AJ.
back?
Oh.
Coming back. Make room, baby. Okay, I want a cheese board on the desk.
No, you can't have cheese. I'm going to have rice, pasta, and cheese.
A vegan charcuterie board.
See you Tuesday, people.